yun, split yung mga grades. Tapos, si Sir Dado, makapupunta ka rin. Good morning, Ma'am Grace.
Hi, Ma'am Grace.
Hulaan ko MC ka, no?
Ha?
MC ka.
Ano?
MC ka.
Oo, ba't mo huhulaan? Hindi ba na-announce?
Hindi ko alam yun.
Hindi ba na-announce? MC ako ngayon. Huhulaan mo talaga. Wait lang, may script ako. Nagay-gay tawalin ng chat na naman. Wala may designation. Yung program. Yung kasama ni Ma'am Mini. Iba yung kanyang, part. Ayan, we're live on YouTube. Good morning po. Magandang umaga, magandang buhay. Okay, excellent yung connection ko. Sana all. Search yan, sir. Power on. Plus 12 ko na natapos yung script battery. Paano mo nasabi na MC ako ngayon? So pag nakababa or yung nakaganon.
Oo, yung parang wala lang.
Parang wala kang ganang magpakita, ganun. Minerva A. Muñoz, so lumalabas. Ay, hindi ba tayo live? Sige lang. Para doon muna sila sa YouTube. Ano po? Sir Roldan. Blue.
Kulay blue.
Basta letter M na kulay. Blue, violet. Ganyan. Ayan, meron akong hot water. My new tumbler. In fairness, hindi tumatagos yung init. Ay, tumatagos pala. Sa takyo. Gala ka pantimpla. Tanababay nga nag-Sir Jack. Sinabi ko, Sir Jack, 7:30. Sako pala hindi dumating ng 7:30. Lumalabas si Minerva Muñoz. Lumalabas yan sa Ay, hindi yan lumalabas sa YouTube. Kasi naka-standby mode ako sa YouTube. Tarpaulin lang yun. Live na ako sa YouTube. Pero lang, tarp lang yan. Standby, parang standby mode. Good morning. Ay, may 5 viewers na ako. 1. Battery, kwento mo? 1. Channel 1. Channel 1.
Anong link niyan, sir? Pero hindi ako, valid. Kailangan yung, account.
Nagte-technical ka? Bubuksan mo. Dexter De Guzman, 592. malapit sa pag-aaral ng inyong anak upang kaagad na matugunan ang suliranin sa kanyang pagkatuto. Itala lamang ang inyong obserbasyon at mga tanong ng anak kaugnay sa pinag-aaralang module at isang guni o ibahagi sa guro ang mga naobserbahang pagbabago sa pagkatuto ng anak. Maaari bang gamitin ng aking anak ang lahat ng modality sa kanyang pagkatuto? Opo. Ang mga iba't ibang modality ay nailatag upang magamit ng mag-aaral kung ano ang pinakaangkop na pagkatuto para sa kanyang sitwasyon. Ang mahalaga, natatamo ng mag-aaral at mga tanong ng dapat matutuhan sa isang partikular na aralin. Mabibigyan ba ang aking anak ng pagkakataong tapusin ang mga module na hindi niya natapos? Opo. Maaaring mabigyan po ang inyong anak ng pagkakataong tapusin ang module kung may sapat at katanggap-tanggap na dahilan kung bakit hindi niya naipasa sa takdang oras ang gawain. Makipag-ugnayan lamang po kayo kaagad sa guro ng inyong anak at sabihin ang dahilan kung bakit hindi niya naipasa ang pangangailangang gawain. Kung nagkataong walang kuryente sa oras na dapat manood ang aking anak para sa kanyang leksyon, paano niya matututuhan ng aralin? Huwag po kayong mag-alala. May mga nakalimbag na module na maaaring gamitin na hindi nangangailangan ng teknolohiya o kuryente. Maaari ding makakuha ng link o file ng mga angkop na digitized materials sa kanyang guro. Kinakailangan lamang na maiparating sa madaling panahon ang sitwasyon sa kanyang guro upang mabigyan ng ibang paraan ang pagkatuto ng mag-aaral. Maaari ko bang maanyayahan ang kanyang guro sa aming bahay kung may aralin na hindi kayang sagutin? Maaari po. Kung may aralin na hindi kayang sagutin, maaaring isang guni muna sa guro upang makapagbigay siya ng ibang interbensyon at hindi na niya kailangang pumunta sa inyong bahay. Subalit, kung sadyang kailangan at hindi maiiwasan ng home learning sessions, ay marapat na gawin ito sa araw na may pasok or school days at kailangang sumunod ang bawat panig sa protocol na itinakda ng DOH at IATF. Paano kung wala akong sapat na kasanayan upang tulungan ang aking anak sa kanyang pag-aaral? Huwag pong mabahala. Isang guni o ipaalam sa guro upang mas mapaigting ang pagsubaybay ng guro sa inyong anak. Maaaring magpatulong sa iba pang miyembro ng pamilya, kamag-anak, kapitbahay, malapit na kaibigan ng pamilya o kabarangay. Anong tulong o gabay ang maaaring ilapit o isang guni sa mga opisyal ng barangay kaugnay sa pag-aaral ng aking anak? Maaari pong lapitan ang barangay health workers, barangay poso, barangay kagawad na nakatalaga sa edukasyon, at community facilitators upang mamahala sa paghahatid at pagkuha ng mga module. Ang anumang usaping pangkalusugan ng mag-aaral ay maaari ring isang guni sa mga barangay health center. Makakatulong din ang pagkakaroon ng hotlines para sa mas mabilis at organisadong pagbibigay ng mga module. Narito naman po ang mga impormasyon tungkol sa kindergarten. Ano ang gagamitin ng aking anak na nasa kindergarten? Narito po. May nakahandang kindergarten activity sheets mula sa BASA Pilipinas at mga nakalimbag o printed at naka-digital na forma ng self-learning module na ginawa para sa kindergarten upang gamitin. May mga aralin din na naka-video at naka-audio at mga interaktibong gawain gaya ng awitin, rima, tula at play-based na gawain. Mayroon pang karagdagang activity sheets na inihanda kaugnay sa programang Aral sa Bahay ang Rehiyon. Paano ako makakatulong sa pagtuturo ng aking anak na nasa kindergarten? Ito po ay sa pamamagitan ng mga sumusunod. Sa bawat module ay may mga paraan kung paano ituturo ang aralin. Magkakaroon din kayo ng webinar upang magabayan ang inyong anak sa pagkatuto. Lilikha din ang guro ng chat group upang ipaabot at maturuan ang mga magulang sa wastong gawain at pamamaraan. Magkakaroon din tayo ng tulong mula sa radyo telebisyon para sa RTV-based na pagtuturo. Paano naman ang mother tongue? Iba ang mother tongue ng ating anak sa early grade, hindi Ilocano o Inan. May module bang aakma sa kanya? Huwag pong mag-alala dahil lamang ng guro ko ipaalam agad para lang pasukan ng inyong upang ng solusyon ang break. Paano naman sa special education? Ano ang gagamitin ng mga mag-aaral na may kapansanan? May mga kagamitan tulad ng self-learning modules, TV clips, videos, online materials, braille, at mga pamamaraan sa pagsasanay ng kumpas o sign language na pwedeng gamitin na angkop sa kanilang mga kapansanan o pangangailangan. Paano namin maaalagaan ang mental health at well-being ng aming mga anak sa ganitong panahon? Maaari pong gawin ang mga sumusunod. Ang pagtatakda ng mga gawaing nakatutulong upang maiwasan ang pagbababad sa computer. Maaari din ang pagbibigay ng iba't ibang gawain at pagtatakda ng pagsasagawa. Magkaroon lamang po tayo ng malawak na pangunawa at pagpapakita ng kalinga at pagmamahal. Pakikisali din sa iba't ibang webinar kaugnay rito ay maaaring makatulong. At syempre, wastong paggabay at pagiging huwarang magulang at guro. Narito naman ang mga impormasyon para sa Alternative Learning System or ALS. Paano po maipapamahagi ang ALS modules kung wala pong face-to-face? Sino ang kukuha at saan ito kukunin? Magkakaroon po ng lingguhang anunsyo sa mga CLCs or Community Learning Centers sa barangay at paaralan para sa schedule ng pagkuha o pamamahagi at pagsusumite ng module. Dito rin malalaman ang mga karagdagang gabay o instruksyon kaugnay sa pag-aaral. Mangyaring makipag-ugnayan sa guro o paaralan kaugnay sa usaping ito. Ano po ang unang requirement bago makapag-enroll sa ALS program? Narito po. Ang mag-aaral na nagnanais magpatuloy sa ALS ay kinakailangang dumaan sa Functional Literacy Test upang matayan ng guro kung saang level magsisimula ang guro sa interbensyong ibibigay. Paano isasagawa ang learning intervention sa mga ALS learners? Ganito po. Ang ALS Mobile Teacher ay gagamit ng ilang paraan upang mabigyan ng sapat na gabay ang kanyang mga mag-aaral. Maliban sa mga module na gagamitin, maaaring makipag-ugnayan sa pamamagitan ng cellphone, gaya ng tawag, text, chat, o video call. Kung walang budget, gagawa ng liham ang mag-aaral sa kanyang guro upang iparating ang anumang usapin kaugnay sa kanyang pag-aaral. Ang liham ay maaaring ilagak at kukunin sa mga CLCs or Community Learning Centers. Para sa mga karagdagang impormasyon, mangyaring sumangguni lamang sa DepEd Order No. 12 Series of 2020 at DepEd Order No. 17 Series of 2020. At iyan na po ang mga karagdagang impormasyong dapat nating malaman bilang paghahanda sa darating na pasukan. Muli, ang videong ito ay hatid sa atin ng Department of Education, Region 1. Ramdam po namin ang inyong mga pinagdaraanan, ngunit naniniwala kami na sa ating pagtutulungan, maisusulong natin ang edukalidad. Ako po si Sir at mabuhay ang lahat.
ka ng pag-ibig sa manlulupi, di ka pasisingin sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mo uhaw. May nilatang tula at awit sa kaglayang minamahal. Ang bisag ng wataran mo'y tanong ay naratinig. Ang bituin at harap ng kayan kamay di makinig. Umanang araw at ibang sila, ay langit sa piling mo. Ang hiningaya ng pagkay ng langit, ang mamalay ng dahil sa'yo.
Pagpapakumbaba sa ating Panginoon. Damhin natin ang kanyang presensya. Mahal naming amang lumikha, mapagmahal at makapangyarihan sa lahat. Pinupuri at pinapasalamatan namin kayo sa lahat ng biyayang aming tinatamasa. Salamat po sa patuloy na pagsusubaybay sa amin at paglayo ng anumang kapahamakan. Itinataas namin ang pagsasama-sama ngayon sa webinar sa pagsulat ng module upang kayo'y sambahin at ihandog sa inyo ang aming gawain. Ang pagtitipon namin ito ay inilalapit namin sa inyo upang maging instrumento ng pagkakaisa at pagtutulungan para sa aming minamahal na mag-aaral. Tanggalin niyo po ang mga puwing sa aming mga mata upang malinawan at makita ang damdamin at pananaw ng aming mga kasama. Gawin ninyong matalas ang aming isipan upang lalo naming maunawaan ang mga aral na ihahatid sa amin ng aming tagapagsalita. Gabayan ninyo ang aming mga hakbang nang matiyak namin ang landas ng aming tinatahak na ayon sa inyong itinakda. At higit sa lahat, Panginoon, patuloy mo kaming bigyan ng kalakasan upang lalo naming magampanan ang aming tungkulin bilang inyong nilikha na may misyon sa mundong ito. Ito ang aming panalangin sa ngalan ng iyong anak na si Jesus. Amen.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, San Carlos City. Good morning, Philippines, and good morning, world. Okay, now welcome to the webinar on module writing. And at last, this webinar had materialized in spite of the many attempts, of several attempts that is supposed to be conducted. So we are now very sure, and we are now on the right track, and we have to conduct this seminar or webinar. You know, ladies and gentlemen, as our module writing said, and plus, education must continue. Di ba? So, no pandemic, no calamities will stop us in providing education, quality education to our learners. Okay? So, with the new normal that we are having now, okay, new normal in education, okay, so we have to be, we know how to adapt. We must know how to be flexible. Okay, so one of the proactive measures, okay, that we are instituting here in San Carlos City is the production or coming up with a quality timing and, of course, appropriate and relevant instructional materials for our learners to be used during these trying times, okay, in education. So that's why we are having this kind of activity here in our division. And of course, we would like to capacitate our teachers, okay, our learners, our module writers. Will provide them with the necessary skills, okay, competencies to come up with what we call, to come up with the envision appropriate quality modules that this webinar will produce later on. So, of course, these modules that we'll have for this webinar will be based on the most essential learning competencies. Okay? So, nakabase po siya doon. Para sa ganon ay we are not shy coming up with a module which is not aligned with what the central office is prescribing. Yan. So, in order to ensure, of course, the quality of these modules that we are going to produce, okay, the team, the training team, okay, had constituted the quality assurance team to look into these modules, okay? Titingnan po nila para before we will produce this and will be used by our learners, we'll make sure that these modules would be talagang tama at saka nararapat at saka kung maaari ay walang makitang defect. So yan po. So, we would, although we are expecting, we're expecting modules coming from the central office, but at our own initiative, okay, sabi ko kanina, we should be proactive. We would like to produce locally produced modules, okay, localized modules which are attuned to the needs, okay, of of the locality. Okay? Because if we will not do this, okay, what if, ano? Yan. So, kailangan po natin ng mag-produce ng mga modules na ito, okay, mag-develop ng mga modules na ito as a supplementary modules to what will be given by our central office as an official modules to be used. Okay? So, hindi ito redundant activity, but this is a very important endeavor that we are going to undertake because this will also provide additional learning materials for our students, our learners. Yeah. So, if you will notice, it's only barely how many days before the opening of classes? Parang 24 days na lang, di ba? So, kaya po ba natin? Ha? Okay. I am very positive, very positive and optimistic that with the talents and skills of our module writers, our trainers, kakayanin natin ito. Diba? Kaya. Kaya. So, hopefully, okay, we can come up with this relevant, appropriate, and quality modules for our learners here in San Carlos City. Yeah. So, with the project mode, okay, ito yung project initiated by our schools division superintendent with the help of other personnel here from the CID, from the LR, and everyone here in the division office. Hopefully, okay, maganda itong project natin, project mode. Okay, mode stands for module development. So, kudos, thank you very much with this brilliant idea, Ma'am Lourdes Di Servito, our schools division superintendent. Napakaganda po ang project na ito. Hopefully, all of us, okay, all of our teachers will produce their own localized and contextualized module in their respective schools. Okay, and of course, which will be quality assured by our team. So, with that, I would like to remind also everyone that while we're doing this activity, let's not forget to observe health protocols. Although I am sure you're in your respective homes or workplace, kailangan pa rin nating i-observe ang ating health protocols so that we can also contribute in not spreading, okay, the virus which is affecting our locality and the entire world. Yeah. So let's protect ourselves, okay, and let's also protect our neighbors, other people around us. So magtulungan po tayong lahat. Okay. So that's a reminder to all of us. Okay. While we are doing all of these things, kailangan po din natin i-protekta ang ating mga sarili. So, at this juncture, I would like to commend once again, the organizer of this webinar, of course, headed by our school division superintendent, Madam Lourdes Di Servito, and particularly the CID group, headed by our chief of the CID, Dr. Edita Pidas, and of course, the LR group headed by Education Program Supervisor, Ma'am Dr. Arlene Casipit, okay, and other members. I would like to thanks also Sir Dean Roldan Eden, our Project Development Officer. Okay, thank you very much. So, and all other staff here in San Carlos City, okay, contributing and helping in the success of this webinar. So maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. I hope everyone will come up. Again, my expectation is that everyone should come up with quality, relevant, and appropriate modules for our learners. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone and welcome to this webinar on module writing or module development. So enjoy the day and good luck to everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Please welcome Ma'am Ronnie Flores.
Okay, thank you very much, Sir Dexter. Lahat po yata ng ma. Meron pong ma na hindi ka nasabi. It is mataba. Yan. Okay, so thank you very much, Mahalo Noah, sa ating pinaka-gwapo at lively na moderator for this day. So to our beloved Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Lourdes D. Servito, to our ASDS, Dr. Diosdado I. Cayabyab, to our two chief in CID, we have Dr. Edita R. Pridas, and of course, Mr. William Marque Gloria, the SDOD chief. It is my honor and privilege sa lahat to present the hands and the feet of this webinar because without you, this webinar will not be possible. So the participants of this webinar in module writing, we have the illustrators, module writers, and of course, we have the layout artists. Together with mathematics, ALS, TVL, and of course, the education program supervisors, kasama din po natin sila. Later on, nakikilala niyo po sila, so hindi ko na po sila iisa-isahin. So have a blessed day and we do hope na ma-enjoy nyo po itong webinar in module writing because it is under our new normal. So let us take note on the things na marami po tayong malalaman on this webinar on module writing. So we thank our CID chief with coming up with this kind of training or webinar in support of our SDS project, which is Project Mode L. So thank you very much. Have a nice day. Mahalo nualua.
All right. Ayan. So, thank you very much, Ma'am Ronnie, for the presentation, which shows simply Alright, thank you so much. Okay, ma'am, I think that you are ready to do this. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, Dexter. Obviously po, si Dexter po ay kilalang-kilala po niya ako because he was a student of mine when he was in undergrad at isa pong napakagaling na estudyante. Okay, so to start, okay, may I extend my greetings to our beloved Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Lourdes D. Servito, and of course, our equally competent ESDS, Dr. Diosdado Cayabyab, fellow supervisors, and of course, the talented and committed members of the development team composed of the writers, developers, illustrators, layout artists, editors, reviewers, both in content and language, and of course, our quality assurance and conformance review team. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Isang napakagandang umaga po sa ating lahat. This morning, I am tasked to present to you the ADM Learning Resource Standards. But before that, gusto ko muna kayong kumustahin mga ka-team, mga friends at na development team. Kumusta na po kayo? Nakakatulog pa ba rin ba kayo? I am tasked to
pareho ko
present to
puyat
you
din.
the ADM Learning Resource. Okay lang po yan, napuyat tayo. We'll do this para sa bata, para sa bayan, at para sa Diyos. But before I present the LR standards, may I share with you a quotation or a mandate from our DepEd Secretary, Secretary Leonor Magtoles Briones. Papakita ko lang po yung ating sinabi ng ating DepEd Secretary. Okay. Ano po ang sabi ng ating Secretary? Nakikita nyo na po bang slide ko? Okay, sige po. Sabi niya, this is COVID-19 challenge in education. And there was a question posed. Will schools be allowed to open under what conditions? At ano po ang sagot ng ating Secretary Briones? Sabi po niya, education must continue. The children wait for ang we will find ways for learning to continue. And so this, so ang dating ng ating nakamamahal na SDS. Because when she arrived, ay inintroduce na po ang project the first as supervisors to develop modules. And this project is called Project Mode. And Project Mode stands for Module Development. Okay? This mode is the brainchild of Dr. Servito. It is a response to the call of our DepEd Secretary to ensure educational continuity and further promote DepEd's Sulong Edukalidad program. So the Division of San Carlos City, through the CID, has initiated the development of learning modules for the K-12 learners. And we started as early as last week of June 2020. This activity aims to develop localized learning modules to augment the modules to be released by DepEd's central office, which will be utilized under the new norms. I just mentioned, however, that most will prepare San Carlos City will have a design of our own. Para sabi na itong module na to po ay talaga pong nanggaling po sa San Carlos at sinulat po ng ating mga magaling at hit po ng ating teaching at non-teaching personnel. Okay? So ano po ang program natin to augment the modules that be released by the whole project mode? Okay. So though it's localized, I am not saying that we are totally deviating from the LR standards. There may be a little deviation, but still we followed the standards. And when we speak of standards, LR standards, we talk about what is ought to be. So some of you, they're I start on June 20, but why a webinar today? We will have this webinar today because we would like you and even myself to get familiarized with the standards in developing self-learning materials modules. Likewise, we would modules in all grade levels across learning areas. I know you have started writing, but with this webinar, we hope that we can refine the modules would like to ensure that our developed modules are compliant to the standards and processes of the development and quality assurance cycle. So this is what we expect. These are our objectives of this webinar. So this time, I'm going to present to you our AM, Alternate Learning Resource Standard. Let's start with the module. You know, depends on the key stage. So in the tutorial, there are 4 key stages. We have grade 3, we have grade 6, we have grade 7 to 10, and we have grade 11 to 12. We start with first key stage. In the first on the elements of the module for kinder is simple. So the first element is introduction or learning objectives. Or no? We have pre-test, lesson proper, and then application. The module, when we say word tips in what I need to know in Filipino, ang taon at Pangasinan. What I subukin, pre-test, what I know, subukin. This may put our lesson review, not send this in a module for kinder. This 1 to 3, we have review, and we call it what's in or balikan. Then we have the first activity, what's new, tuklasin. And then discussion of the activity, what is it? Suriin. And then, just like in the kinder, we shall be providing and activities. So po ito ay mas marami na pong activities or gawain. Kaya this part of the module is called what's more in Filipino. The same word sa isip up to sa gawa. Additional activity. We are there po sa kinder. Tingnan niyo po sa kinder, wala po kayong assessment. Generalization and then application na po kaagad. But in grades 1 to 3, mayroon po tayong assessment and additional activities or karagdagang gawain. Okay po. Po tayo sa next grade level. Okay. This one po is grades 4 to 12. This will cover a part between the module or the elements of the body of a module, comparing po yung grades 1 to 3 with 4 to 6. So, okay. How about in 4 to 6? Is there an assessment prior to the generalization? Yes po. There is an independent assessment, no? And titingnan nyo po sa ating element po, nandyan po, and still under what's more. Then we have generalization, na nakita rin po natin ito sa grade 3. What I have learned is sa isip. And then application, what I can do. which is isagawa, assessment, and tayahin. Tingnan niyo po sa ating area, and just like still under 1 to 3, we can provide additional activities or karagdagang gawain. If you are part, or if you have been a part of the tryout ng modules, mapapansin niyo po doon sa ating pong gabay in our flowchart that after assessment, when the teachers have already retrieved the answer sheets, the teachers will find out whether the students had met or had met the expected standard of proficiency. Mayroon po ba silang mastery? Natuto po ba sila talaga? Pag hindi po sila natuto, okay, pwede po tayong magbigay pa ng additional activities. And following DepEd Order number 12, ito po yung remediation. But for those students po na magaling talaga, we can still provide additional activities in modules para po higit doon nila maintindihan ang ating po lesson. At ito po sa Filipino ay karagdagang gawain. So, friends, these are the parts of the module. Candor, grades 1 to 3, and then 4 to 6. So, mga kapatid na module writers, sana po ay higit ninyo pong naintindihan kung ano po ang nakapaloob sa atin pong module. Okay? So, as I said from in the beginning, what we are preparing in San Carlos City are division-initiated activity modules under the project mode, which is the brainchild of Ma'am Servito. So even if ito po ay locally developed, we are still following standards. There may be deviations, but minor deviations. In terms of setup po, so, ito po yung sinasabi ko friends, po na deviation. Because in our division, our module is in the form of booklet type. Okay? So, but in the standard, we have the page design and layout. For Candor, the paper size is A4 landscape. Ilang pages lang po ang module sa Candor? 4 pages lang po. Okay? So, grades 1 and 2, 4 pages lang po ang ating ideal number of pages. For grades 3 to 6, 7 to 12, A4 pa rin, but it's portrait. In our division, may I reiterate, it's portrait, but it is booklet type. How many pages? 8 pages or 16 pages. So, when I went over the modules that we have prepared, yung 4 pages po yan, no? Kasi po, finold natin. So, nagiging times 2. Yung 4 naging 8. Parang ganun po. And then, yung 8 po ay naging 16. But these are the ideal number of pages. Okay. In terms of color of the grade level identifier. Okay. So, for learning area English, ang kulay po is light blue. Filipino, dark blue. Science, orange. Mathematics, green. Araling panlipunan, red. Edukasyon sa pagpapakatao is brown. Music and arts is canary yellow. Physical education and health is canary yellow. Mother tongue is white. EPP or TLE is violet. Kindergarten is pink. And senior high school is black. Ito po, ang ginamit po natin sa ating modules that we developed in San Carlos. We also adopted these colors. But these colors po are only po doon po sa sa pangalan po ng learning area. I'll give you an example for you to better understand what I'm saying. Okay, here. So this is a module, a cover page for a module. And this is module in grade 10 science. Okay. If we go back to the prescribed color, the color for science is orange. And you see our color is for science is orange. What about the grade level for? You look at 10. Okay. If you look at the upper portion of the cover, left part of the cover, ang kulay po ng 10, in other words, this module is for grade 10. Ang kulay po is yellow. Kasi po, para to distinguish one module from the other, for junior high school, ang kulay po nila is yellow. Ito pong yellow is the color that we see in the upper left corner or right corner of the module, both in the module and in the answer sheet. Mag-pair po yan. So pag nakita nyo po, yellow yung isa green, hindi po sila match. So for junior high school, may I reiterate, it's yellow. For elementary, it's green. And for senior high school, the color at the top, ito pong triangle dyan at saka po yung square is blue. Okay? Friends, ito na po yung sample cover ng ating modules that we have developed in San Carlos na quality assure pa naman po. Okay? Next. For body text specification, kinder to grade 1, well, what's the font? It's Century Gothic, no? For kinder to grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, okay, 4 to 6, we have Arial, Times New Roman, Bookman, Old Style. For font size, kinder to grade 1, alam niyo mga bata pa mga yan, we have 16 for font size. Grade 2 is still 16, grade 3 is 14, grade 4 is 14, while grades 5 to 11, the font size is 11 to 12. For text, heads is 15 to 24 subheads. Anyway, dear friends, mga writers po, I know you were already given this body text specifications. Okay. So other specifications of the body text, leading space shall be at 1.15 points. Spaces between subtitles and paragraphs shall be 2 points. Pages shall be complete and properly sequenced. There shall be no overprinting or double printing. Text line for K to 3 shall be justified. Beginning page for junior high school and senior high school shall be consistent on the right or left-hand page. Answer key shall be before the reference page and shall be written upside down, baliktad po, in font size 9. For body text, K to 3 shall be flush to the left and rug right. For grades 4 to 12, you have to justify. Okay, page number shall be centered at the bottom of the page. Citations for graphics and visuals shall be on the same page. There shall be no just one word or half a word on paragraph endings. Inside pages shall be in Arabic numerals. Pages shall not end with hyphenated word or awkward page turn. Pages shall be of the same length, and the last page of the manuscript shall occupy at least half of the text area. And there shall be at least 2 lines of the text below a text head at the foot of the page. Well, to facilitate the work, diba, we have agreed that the module writers or the developers can encode in the Word at ang gagawa na po ng layouting are of course our very able layout artists. So for those writers po na tulad ko po is that good in publishing, don't worry, we have the layout artist to comply with these guidelines. Okay po? With that, I will say maraming salamat po. Have a great day ahead. And sana po ay makagawa po tayo ng maraming modules ready po para po pagdating ng August 24, we have ready modules. And if I may go back to my previous slide, sabi ko po, ano pong sabi ni Secretary Briones, let's find ways, education must continue. And therefore, with this project mode, inaasahan ko po na tayo po ay magkakaroon po ng modules na magamit ang ating mga mag-aaral, and that no child in SDO San Carlos City will be left behind. So, mga kapatid, development team, to end my session, sana po kapit kamay, hawak kamay, kapit bisig po, sikapin po natin na matapos po ang ating mga modules para po sa ating mga bata. God bless you. God bless SDO SCC. Thank you.
Wow. So, big thanks, ma'am, for doing that presentation. I believe maraming
po lahat po ng members or ng development team from the writers, layout artists, lahat po tayo will be given due recognition, and our plan is to have a virtual recognition po. So, ko po, you have sleepless nights, and sana po isipin na lang po natin na ito po ay para sa bata. Again, everybody will be recognized. You will be given certificates of recognition, and there will be a virtual recognition for this project mode. So, again po, ano lang po tayo, sabi nga ni Dexter, hawak kamay, kapit bisig mga kapatid. We are under the new normal. We will never be under the old normal. Ito na po ang ating buhay ngayon. Just keep safe. At habang wala po tayong sakit, sana po wala pong magkakasakit sa atin. Tatapusin po natin ang lahat ng modules po, ha? Sana po maaasahan namin po kayo. Ulit, maraming salamat.
Thank
Kaya muna ko.
Ayan, thank you so much.
Oh, hello. Good morning, Dexter. Yeah. Yeah, good morning. Congratulations, Dexter. I would like to say congratulations, Dexter, our host for today, for being the voice behind the Region 1 infomercial. We are proud of you. San Carlos City is proud of you. So is it my time? Okay. So at last, finally, we are now conducting the division webinar on the project mode. So iba-iba yung model, ha? Ito naman ay mode. I think this was explained very clearly by behind the Region 1 the Commercial Division, Dr. Pridas. What mode is, although it plainly it stands for module development. So this is the key word. This is very important during this new normal. So basically our mode of instruction or our learning delivery modality is framed on the use of modules as well as readers. The use of electronic learning devices and resources. So this is really a very significant webinar. Before I go further, I'd like to greet all our participants. I think we have with us the development team that is composed of SDO officials, of course, our supervisors, our school heads and principals, our head teachers, of course, our teachers, our key teachers, master teachers, even new teachers at that, and the non-teaching personnel, because this group comprises our SDO development team, or our team of innovators and writers. congratulations also to the organizers of this webinar. We've been planning this for how many weeks already? I think heads and principals,
3 weeks,
our head
or
teachers, 4 weeks, and of course our
we
teachers
really
had to move it since we are really very busy at the division office. But then again, because our staff, our SDO officials are fast workers and fast learners, now we're able to do this. So may I also greet our Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Dado Kayabia. Of course, he is really an added asset to this division, SDO San Carlos City. You know what? Before I move to my topic, I'd like to tell you something. Yesterday, we SDS myself, I'd like to share with you the good news about our meeting with Vice Governor Mark Ronald Lambino. So in our meeting, our Vice Gov asked us about our plans and how he can help us with our plans, especially our learning continuity plan. And so we were very glad when our vice governor said he is also donating one digital duplicator in addition to in addition to the duplicators to be donated also by our beloved Mayor Ayoy Resuelio. So thank you so much to our stakeholders. Thank you very much to our mayor, and of course to our vice governor, Mark. Again, we'll be engaging in a unique, a new project with with an NGO, Ulupan NGO, also under the baton of our vice governor, and we will be engaged in producing seedlings, and then the seeds will be distributed to our learners, and then they will grow the seed. The seedlings will be bought by vice governor. So it's going to be some kind of livelihood, and at the same time, we'll be helping people to improve the environment. And this is along the project of our president, which is our project. The plant, diba? Mga plantitos na katulad ko dyan, the nature lovers. I'm just excited once again with this project. And so along the way, while I'm traveling from our house to the office, isip ko na kaagad, ano ba yung ating codes project na ito? And then I thought that it could be grow a seed and leave. So if we grow the seed, it becomes a seedling. If all the learners will grow seeds, and then they become seedlings, the seedlings will be bought by the NGO as well as our vice governor. And so that's why it's going to be project grow seed and leave. Okay, I'm back to project mode. Flash this. The picture of the cartoon of our modules and the pen, the power of the pen. So using the power of the pen, really come up with the preferred modality. And that is the construction of electronic resources. So, normal. So, engage in practical modules 2021, the new normals cool here, or I would rather say the better normal, the brave normal, because those times. So congratulations to our SDO officials, our supervisors, our school heads, head teachers, teaching personnel comprising the SDO development team, our and writers. Thank you for joining me. Now, this is part of my passion. Okay, so I know that I'm not just a resource person here. That's why I gave you some announcements, and then I can always update. But for now, is on the criteria for the assessment or evaluation of our self-learning modules. So this is the need of the time, the self-learning module for our alternative delivery mode. So I was given here the guidelines on the content evaluation of the developed ADM and SLM modules. I know that in the virtual audience, we already have module writers. So thank you for joining us with the development team. This is a collaborative team that came up with the original modules when SDO San Carlos City was assigned to write modules on particular subject matters. And these modules were submitted to the regional office as well as in the central office. And so this formed part of the centrally produced modules, which will be downloaded to the different divisions to be used by our learners. But in the meantime that we haven't received all of these modules, we have to come up with our contextualized, localized, self-learning modules. And I do believe that our tryout teachers who are now conducting their simulation, the tryout classes in the different schools are using their self-modules, whether they are produced by our division module writers or our regional and national module writers. So I'm happy that aside from our existing module writers, we welcome all those who are interested, all teachers and non-teaching personnel who can really help us in module development. So to help us out, let us go through the guidelines. Okay, so be with me. We'll start just reviewing the guidelines, of course, for those who have been writing modules already. So what are our objectives? Well, we have these guidelines in order to evaluate the content of the assigned ADM or SLM modules in compliance with the content standards of the Department of Education. And of course, we are asked to write specific comments and findings on pages of the ADM SLM modules where inadequacies in content and or errors are found. So I think in this case, we have to be very receptive to the comments and suggestions. I know that sometimes we may be offended or maybe we would not feel good about other people commenting or critiquing our works. But this, we have to collaborate with one another in order that we can come up with better outputs. So another objective is to prepare and submit a report using the prescribed content evaluation tool and summary of findings template for each assigned ADM and SLM. So in whatever we do, we really have to prepare and submit a report. Also to discuss with the development team the comments, recommendations, and revisions to be implemented on the ADM, SLM modules if needed. I have some few words to say about revision of our works, revision of articles. You know, writing per se is actually rewriting. I learned this from my journalism professor, and he said even the geniuses, let's say Jose Rizal, who is a genius, even the geniuses rewrite their articles. So I myself rewrite my own article. Of course, I even edit my own article and articles of others. In fact, I even edit the gardening in a different schools, okay? Just to share with you some of the light moments, even if you know our work in module writing is really very academic, and it's a mental work. But for me, I'm a very practical person, so I temper and I partner my academic works with something of my passion, which is another passion of mine is being with nature. I commune with nature. I love to plant. I love to be in a garden. You know, pedagogical, computational, and grammatical errors. Also violations on social content errors. Also violations on social content of tinitingnan natin yung mali. O syempre, tinitingnan natin kung saan yung mali, saan yung mga errors in order to correct them, right? So sana po hindi tayo allergic pag tayo ay kino-correct. Just like some people whom I met. But anyway, ako din noon when I was writing my thesis, writing my dissertation, okay lang. I really thank my mentors, my editors. I have my own editors. If I edit pag tayo ay articles today, just like some people whom I met, it's just normal for me. Okay, so moving on. For checking the mechanics, we are asked to write specific comments and findings and suggested revisions on the margin of the pages of the modules, of the draft of the modules, where the inadequacies or errors in content are. So, okay lang po na tayo ay correct. Diyan, isusulat sa my pages na yon. Siguro, it's okay to use black ink or blue ink. O baka meron pa rin gumagamit ng red ink. So, sana normal na rin yan kasi nga inaayos natin ang ating trabaho. So, may kanya-kanya po tayong roles na ginagampanan. So, we have module writers, at the same time, we have the evaluators, we have the validators, kaya syempre, iba-iba po ang ating trabaho. We have the illustrators, the layout artists, pinapaganda po nila ang ating modules. Kaya meron tayong sariling atin na layout. Okay? At syempre, pinaka-importante yung editor, di ba? Yan. So when it comes to the communications nga, pagdating na sa akin, dapat na edit normal, sometimes we have this technical glitch. So sabi ko kanina, well, it's a forced break. There's a time for me to drink my water. Anyway, I'm back and may we continue with the mechanics. Are we all back to this screen now? Sumasagot. Assume ko na lang na you are all attuned. How many participants do we have now? Do I have a mic? Okay. So for the mechanics, module writers should accomplish the prescribed evaluation tool and prepare the summary of findings and findings report that shall guide the development team in implementing the recommended revisions. So okay lang po na mag-revise ha. It doesn't mean na pag ni-revise yung article natin, yung sinulat natin, ay hindi tayo magaling magsulat. So normal lang po yung nag-edit tayo, nagre-revise tayo. Kasi kahit mga genius ay nagre-rewrite pa rin talaga ng mga articles. Okay, we move on to the next. And so as soon as we are done, we submit the evaluated ADM, SLM materials with marginal comments and the duly accomplished summary report on a staggered basis until all assigned LRs have been evaluated. With all the corrections done and the recommended revisions, we also have to discuss with the development team, if needed, to clarify the comments and recommendations made in the content review. So the first step in the assessment is the content review. We have to review the revised and finalized DepEd developed learning resources to ensure that corrections, suggested revisions were sufficiently and correctly implemented. So in this work, you will receive the following materials. The assignment, of course, the assigned set or sets of ADM, SLM modules to be evaluated. Then the guidelines on the content evaluation of DepEd developed learning resources, the content evaluation tool, maybe it will be digitally provided, and then the summary of content findings template, also to be provided digitally. Mukhang may pahabol pa sa mechanics. So let's have that one. Number. Okay. We have to allot sufficient time to evaluate and accomplish the individual content evaluation tool and summary of findings for each assigned ADM, SLM module. Also evaluate the assigned modules one at a time. Read module page by page to identify possible errors using the following criteria. Yan, to avoid copyright violations. Of course, we have to do proper and accurate citations for copyrighted text and visuals. Kumbaga, we have to avoid plagiarism or copying or cheating from intellectual property. So it's very important also that we have to attune the module with the MELCs, with the learning competencies. Of course, the MELCs would stand for the most essential learning competencies intended for the learning area and grade level. So the MELCs now has become the Bible of the teachers, or the Bible also of the module writers. So when you write your modules, then you really have to have with you the booklet on the most essential learning competencies. And that will be true to the validators, the evaluators of the modules. So we'll also check on the instructional design and organization. So the content of the LR should contribute to the achievement of the specific learning objectives. Siyempre, we start the lesson with the objectives, as usually, objectives and the purpose. Then we arrange and organize logically. So they should be arranged and organized logically to facilitate achievement of the learning objectives. And should be suitable to the target learner's level of development, needs, and experience. So moving on, module writers, content evaluators should reinforce and enrich and or lead. Chapter na naman ako dyan. Mel, ano na yung sinabi niya, apelyido ng asawa niya? Munoz? Kilala mo? Ito sa Rocas Volleyball, no? Matagal na kasi kami hindi nakita. Many years. Sorry na gano'n. It's always fluctuating. May stress sana ako, pero nakikita ko yung mahirap may stress. Anyway, pag nakikita ko yung guwapito nating host, eh, nawawala yung stress. Ano? So, so hopefully the internet would allow me, but it's not. Okay na namang nangyari. Yes, I can hear you. Ako, naririnig ba? Naririnig na rin ako? Ah, okay. Pasensya na, paudlot-udlot talaga yung lecture natin. Anyway, the printed version of the lecture will be given to you. So, content of the LR. And in evaluating the content, we have to use devices that facilitate progression from lesson to lesson. So, ito yung para mayroong flow yung mga lessons natin. And also allow for review, comparison, and or integration with previous lessons. Yun, para may continuity. Yung katulad dito ngayon, internet. Anyway naman, ang kausap ko, so, 5 motivational strategies and activities. Di ba syempre sa paggawa ng lesson, kailangan natin ng motivation. Tulad ng ating mag-motivate. So, choose various teaching and learning strategies to meet individual and the module should also cater to this. Kahit medyo mahirap na talagang i-attune natin sa mga iba't ibang learning styles. Promote the development of higher and the 21st century learning skills as we siguro di ba nakita? You're in the show. Sabi naman niya, everyone can see you and hear you. So resolving different problems. That's why at the start of the opening classes, we will be psychosocial, mental health activities or trainings, orientations. Kasi talagang nag-iiba na po ang panahon at nag-iiba talaga ang education in the new normal. Also, we talk about critical thinking and doing, we need to do some research. That is a combination of read plus search. So we need to search for the answers and the solutions to the problems. And we need to search again. That's why it is research. So just about 2 days ago, we received a memorandum from the regional office asking our teachers to come up with that is supposed to do some research. I really think this is because we have to search for solutions to our problems. So how can the difficulties, especially in education in the new normal? Of course, we do analysis as we think critically, and that's the time we come up with certain projects and also project management, etc. So we need to have critical thinking and doing skills. Of course, the next key is creativity. Matagal nyo nang naririnig yan. But well, this is the time that we have to create new things because we're moving on to the new normal. And let's make the new normal the brave normal, the better normal for the children. So we have to create new knowledge. Just like the online and offline resources that you are creating. We are creating video clips, ABPs, infomercials, and so on. And then, what are the best fits? When we recruit personnel and teachers, we search for the best fit. That's the same thing with being able to choose what design, what solution, or what modality to use. This is also art of gardening, diba? There is art in storytelling, in writing, of course, in making some caricatures, and even in landscaping or gardening. Ako, masasamit na ako ah. The next is, of course, collaboration. Yan. This webinar will not be possible without the collaborative skills of the SDO officials and personnel, the people behind the making of and the conduct of this webinar. So there's a need for cooperation, compromise, consensus, and community building. So indeed, we are building the community, starting from our enrollment. We cannot do it alone, and we collaborate with parents and with the barangay officials and other stakeholders. Next C is the cross-cultural in storytelling, in writing. So, of course, in making diverse cultures, even as Filipinos. So we're not just talking about cultures of people from other countries, but the different cultures of Filipinos from different provinces or different barangays. So we need to understand the diverse ethnicities and well, if it were language or mathematics or science. And then the factual errors or errors in fact. Yan, malalaking errors sa mga yan. Procedural errors, errors in the procedure. Kailangan mauna yung dapat mauna, mahuli yung dapat mahuli. Pedagogical errors, syempre yung sa ating pagtuturo. Pedagogy is about adult learning. Computational skills, mathematics na yan, no? 1 plus 1 equals 11. Okay, next na tayo. Still on instructional quality, we check for grammatical errors. Ito yung minsan hindi natin nahalata. Pero pag nag-double S tayo, yung parents, likes, gano'n, ay, nako. Parang murder na lang, mali na. So that is an agreement of the subject and the verb, which is one kind of grammatical error. Also violations on social content. So, and other types of errors like typographical errors. Yan, kahit typographical lang yan. Magiging mali o mag-iiba ang meaning niya. So, assessment. Kinakailangan kasi if we teach something, we have to evaluate. Natuto ba talaga ang mga bata? So on this part, we have to help the teacher evaluate learners' progress. And we will check if the module is aligned with the specific learning objectives. And also, does the module facilitate self-check? So pwedeng ma-check niya ang sarili niya, mismo yung learner. And are the activities varied? Ganon. Kasi boring naman siya kung hindi varied yung mga activities. Okay. This time now, it's on readability. So the learning resources should have words and sentences that are within the level of the target learners. Appropriate words. That's the use of appropriate words na tamang-tama lang sa level ng mga bata. Paragraphs and sentences that are structured to the level of the target learners. So normally, ang mga bata, mas gusto ng mga shorter paragraphs, shorter sentences. mas madaling basahin. Smooth flow of ideas within a lesson and from one lesson to another. And also the good use of transition devices. So again, use of transition words lang yan, like thus, or however, therefore, may kanya-kanya ng ibig sabihin, as you know. And then the LR should have lessons, instructions, exercises, questions, and activities that are clear to the learners. Kailangan klaro kasi lalo na ngayon at distance learning ang ginagamit natin. At nag-a-guide tayo sa mga bata, malayo tayo sa kanila. So kailangan klaro po ang ating instructions. So we have to write down the comments on the salient points based on the criteria while examining the module. Highlight the part of the page that needs to be improved or revised or where the error was found. Ano bang ginagamit natin pang-highlight? Yung bang green colored pen? Or what? How do you highlight it? Underline or what? Transition. Specify comments, findings, or recommendations beside the highlighted portion to guide the development team in revising the modules. Yan, dun sa naka-highlight, tapos dun sa tabi niya ilalagay ang mga comments. Use the summary of findings template to identify the specific parts that need to be corrected, revised by indicating specific pages and line numbers. So dun sa summary, nandun na rin ang mga specific parts, right? Even the line numbers. Avoid using vague words and non-specific or generalized comments in your marginal comments. For example, some words are not appropriate. So what is the appropriate word? Many of the examples are not aligned with the content. So, alin doon sa mga example? Many of the examples, sabi, the sentence is not clear. Bakit hindi siya clear? Ano ang error? So, appropriate use of word ba? And then the verb is grammatically incorrect. So, anong error niya sa grammar? So, to be specific. After evaluating the module, go over your marginal comments to validate the findings and recommendations are consistent and thorough. And to check that none is missed out. Yun na yun, yung edit, review. These are our friends. Si edit, si review. Ensure that all comments and recommendations indicated in the modules are included in the summary of findings report. So may summary of findings report. Kompletos recados talaga ito, step by step. Notes on the specific pages of the modules must adequately support comments written in the summary of findings report. Provide an overall assessment on the content quality based on the comments and findings noted in the SLM modules. Encode the summary of findings report of the overall findings and recommend if the module requires minor or major revisions. Sana minor na. Okay, after individual evaluation of its LR, immediately submit each ADF SLM module with marginal comments and the duly accomplished summary report on a staggered basis until all assigned modules have been evaluated. If deemed necessary, discuss your report with the development teams or focal persons to clarify findings and agree on the revisions and improvements to be made in the modules evaluated. Sabi niya, agree on the revisions. Baka pwede rin mag-disagree. Afterwards, agree. So, tapos na pala, no? So, sabi nga nila, we disagree in order to agree. At talagang nangyayari yan. Kaya okay lang po kung minsan ay, syempre pakinggan natin yung nagsulat ng module. And then, yung nagko-correct din, explain natin kung bakit siya kailangan i-correct ng gano'n. O, di ba? So, nakaspecify lahat ng ating mga procedures. Kulang na lang siya ng process flow. So, the procedures are all in there. Kumbaga, igawan na lang natin ng process flow mentally. So, para mas mabilis ang trabaho. I guess I'm done with the topic, and I'd like to thank you so much. Gusto kong congratulate once again ang ating development team. I'm happy to work with people at San Carlos City Division. So, marami po akong na-discover na magagaling. And that's really my passion, working with talented people and being able to help them somehow, and of course, learning from all of them, from all of you. So I myself is an educator, and I continue to learn, and I believe in the continuity of learning or education continuity. Thank you. Congratulations once again to all of you. Have a good day, and God bless us all. Oh, I clap for myself na rin. Wala akong naririnig ng palagpag eh. Thank you so much, Dexter. Palagpag ko.
Hello, Dex. Good morning. Parang hindi ko yata mapangangatawanan yung confidently beautiful. Anyway, I hope hindi ako maging epic. Thank you. Okay, so to our SDS, Ma'am Lourdes, Sir Vito, our ASDS, Sir Diosdado Cayabyab, our CID Chief, Ma'am Edith, SGOD Chief, Sir Amor, and mga kapwa ko kawani ng gobyerno. Aloha everyone. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. So from LR standards to guidelines and mechanics of SLM development, our SDS also mentioned about the 7 C's and the digital skills. So we are now moving on to the roles and responsibilities of our development and QA team and project management team in order for us to know our parameters, our roles. Kasi sabi nga nila, if we know our roles, we will be able to come up with better outputs. Okay, so allow me to share my screen. I hope it will work. Share screen. Okay. Tignan natin. Na. Ayan, nakikita na ba, Dex? Nakikita na ba? Okay na. Okay, so we have here the roles and responsibilities of project mode teams. Okay. So we have the program management team, which are composed of chairperson, co-chairperson, and the rest makikita nyo po. So for our chairperson, the personnel involved is our CID chief, and what are her roles and responsibilities. So the first one is to ensure that module development plan is prepared and approved. Okay. She also ensures completeness, correctness, and adherence of the modules to the LR standards and manages the entire process. Okay, so the co-chairperson is the EPS in charge of LRMS. So the co-chairperson identifies members of the illustrators and layout artists as part of the development and QA teams. Okay, she joins LR development and QA orientation and training. She also monitors the progress of the module development process and ensure compliance with the standards set. So, who are the team leaders? The team leaders are the EPSS or the Education Program Supervisors of the different learning areas or special curricular programs. So, what do? They identify members of the development team, particularly the writers, okay, and language editors. They give technical assistance on content and pedagogy. They review and approve the modules. They ensure that relevant comments and suggestions are incorporated. They ensure the correctness and completeness of the modules and monitor the progress of the module development process in compliance with the standards set. What about the writer? So who are the writers? The writers are either teachers or school heads. They could also be public schools district supervisors. And pwede ring maging writers ang mga EPSS should they wish to. Okay, so ano yung mga roles ng mga writers? Okay, of course, they write the manuscript according to the standards set for the development of modules. Okay, they approve the illustrations. Kasi nga, during the development, the writer should be working hand in hand with the illustrator. So, para bang they should be together upon doing some manuscript or activities, kailangan they coordinate with the illustrators and they should agree. And when illustrators give the illustrations to the writer, it should be the writer who will approve the illustrations. Okay, so also the writer incorporates comments and suggestions on the modules, obtain permission to use copyrighted materials from the original owners. Meron po tayong mga pro forma na communications relative to this effect. Okay, and they ensure that the copyright and intellectual property law is strictly followed during the development. Okay, they also certify that the modules are free from copyright and intellectual property issues. They accomplish the following forms: writer's assignments agreement, copyright originality form, inventory of third-party contents. Ano itong mga third-party contents? These are owned by, it could be DepEd or it could be from other writers na naging part na ng kanilang work. Bulataw, Mendoza Bulataw, Sir Christopher Macasias, Sir Santino de Jesus, and Sir Marte Ilumin. Okay? Meron din po tayo, sila po ay mga trained book designer and illustrators. And of course, our librarian will take charge of the metadata. So anong gagawin ng mga format evaluators? They evaluate the layout design of the developed, revised, and finalized modules using the guidelines and standards on graphic designing. So bihasang-bihasa na po sila dyan kasi na-train na sila sa national level, even in the regional level. So they write specific comments and recommendations on the margins of the modules that shall guide the book designers and illustrators in revising and finalizing prior to production and utilization. All right. So they also review artworks to ensure congruency with skills or competencies, social content, guidelines, and appropriateness to target users. They recommend suggestions for improvement, enhancement of illustrations and layout, and or improve the illustrations and other artworks. Okay, so part din sila ng ensuring that material is free from any forms of grammatical errors, spelling, punctuation marks. Parang papasadahan din ng ating mga format evaluators ang grammar. Pero this is more on the work of the language evaluators. Okay, saglit lang po ito. Ito po yung ating development process framework. So, kanina po ang ating mga teams ay tatlo. We have the project management team, the development team, and the QA team. So, ito lang po ay saglit lang. Paano ba natin ginagawa ang ating module? So, first step po ay call for development of modules. Nagawa na po yan ng CID, and then preparation of module development plan, approval of the module development plan by, of course, our SDS. And then we are now on the development of modules, submission of the developed modules for quality assurance. Okay, and then the quality assurance shall start with the receipt of developed module for quality assurance by LRMS. Then we conduct the quality assurance of the modules, communication of findings and recommendations. So based on the review and of the evaluation or quality assurance team, there will be revision and then validation of the module. After validation, we finalize the modules, and then after everything is okay, then there will be issuance of quality assurance conformance certification from our SDS. So, thank you so much. Yun lang po. Thank you. Dexter, nandyan pa ba? Na, parang, oh, okay. Okay ba? Oh, okay. So, I was able to beat the time. Okay. Thank you. Malakas ang connection dito. Okay. Thank you so much. Medyo mabilis. Salamat po. Thank you. Keep the pep. Okay. Ano ba yung pep?
Thank you. Thank you, Dexter. May I request the technical director to please show my presentation? So other than the format which was discussed, before anything else pala, parang carried away ako. No? So before I start, I would like to greet our SDS, Dr. Servito, Lourdes Servito. I would also like to greet, andito pa siguro si our ASDS, Sir Diosdado Cayabyab. Of course, our CID Chief and my colleagues in the division office. The tech team has been working so well. and the entire development team of the mode, especially the module writers. And so, as I have said, no other than the format which was discussed to us by Dr. Arlene, another two important things that we have to look into when preparing modules are content and language. Okay, and earlier, our SDS, Ma'am Lourdes, already discussed fully well kung ano yung mga important considerations in terms of content. And so, what I'm going to show you now is the actual tool, no? So evaluating the content and the language is part of the quality assurance that we have to do for our module. So I understand in every learning area, for every learning area and for every grade level, there are leaders. No, there are leaders who shall look into the language use and to some extent the content of the modules before the modules reach the hands of the learning area supervisors. So let us try to look at actual the actual tool this time. Okay, so as what SDS said a while back, we have to carefully read our modules page by page to evaluate its compliance to standards indicated in the criterion items under the 6 factors, no, in terms of content. So this will aid our evaluator kung paano nila i-accomplish yung evaluation tool. So how shall we do it? So we have to put a check mark in the appropriate column beside each criterion item. And if your answer is no, cite specific pages, briefly indicate the errors found, and give your recommendations in the attached summary of findings form. So these things were already mentioned a while back by Dr. Lourdes. Meron dapat ang evaluator, meron dapat summary of findings form where he or she writes all the observations or mga errors na nakita po natin sa module. Okay? Write not applicable or NA for criterion items that do not apply in the evaluated material. So based on the number of criterion items marked yes under each factor, mark the appropriate column to indicate if the material complied or not to the standards. Okay, so for factors with items marked not applicable, count the total applicable criterion items and multiply this with 75%. This is to determine the cutoff for compliance. So dito talagang maka-quality assure ang ating mga materials. So if we really comply to the standards or we need to revise para mas mapaganda yung ating module. So here are the standards. Yung standards na ito are divided into I think 6 factors. These were mentioned already by SDS a while back. So what is the first factor? The first one is the intellectual property rights compliance. So in here, if we try to read this, the modules have no copyright violations, the copyrighted texts and visuals used in the modules are cited, the copyrighted materials used in the modules are accurately cited, and the references are properly cited in the bibliography. So i-check lang po natin if the material or the module complied or not. So yes or no lang po. Okay? So at least 3 criterion items must be marked yes to indicate compliance to this factor. So when we say, alam na po siguro natin ito, no? But just to reiterate, when we say copyright violations, in simple terms, of course, this means we commit this violation when we try to own something which is not ours. For instance, if we can't avoid to borrow or capture certain words or quotations or sentences, passages or selections, we have to do proper citations of the owner of to the owner of the copy or citations of the owner of the copy. So that is why we have the part references in our module. So tip lang po, so we have to write down or list down at once, no, promptly our sources kasi there's a tendency that we might forget later on. We commit this too when we just copy and paste images and pictures. So that is why it has been recommended that we use original illustrations. Marami po tayong illustrators or take pictures from Creative Commons or any safe sites and sources. And also for real life pictures like when taking and publishing, say for example, a picture of a house. Siyempre, merong may-ari ng house, ano po. And then other properties and pictures of children, there are steps to follow. So, yung mga yon dapat alam po ng ating content evaluators. So, I repeat, if there are 3 criterion items marked yes, pasado na po ang ating module 4, factor number 1. So, for factor number 2, this is about learning competencies. Is the module consistent with the targeted most essential learning competencies intended for the learning area and grade level? So nag-iisa po yan na criterion. As we can see, it's only the MELC which was mentioned here, but the K-12 CG or curriculum guide is not totally out of the picture. Why? Because the MELCs are taken from or are lifted from the CG. So, kung medyo sa ating mga module writers, kung hindi natin alam kung ano kaya ilalagay natin sa MELC, maybe we can refer back to our CG and our CG might help us decide kung ano po yung mga dapat na ilagay sa ating module. Okay, just the same, the evaluator should check yes or no. Okay, for factor 3, this is on instructional design and organization. Marami pong indicators ito let us see, 1 to 10. Okay, so magbasa lang siguro tayo ng tatlo, no? The modules contribute to the achievement of specific objectives of the learning area and grade level for which it is intended. Sequencing of activities within each lesson facilitates achievement of objectives. Content is suitable to the target learner's level of development, needs, and experience. And so, if we try to read through this up to number 10, we realize that the module writer must familiarize himself or herself with his boundaries. Okay? Alam dapat niya yung kanyang boundaries, kung ano ilalagay niya, kung anong hanggang anong extent. No? There are MELCs kasi which might be closely related to one another. So it is important that we also communicate, coordinate with our companions in the group. Tendencies are we might be putting similar activities. Okay, so ganun po ulit, mayroon tayong columns na yes or no, the evaluate. And then, how are we going to at least 8 criterion items must be marked yes to indicate compliance to this factor. So, kung 7 lang, so mayroon pang konting revisions na kailangan natin so our module will be considered compliant to the factor instructional organization. The fourth factor is the instructional quality. Okay, so what do we have here? The criteria or the indicators, I should say, factor 4. Ito na nakikita na ma'am. These are the different errors. Hindi man tayo fault finders, but as evaluators, we have to. No? Tingnan natin ano ba yung mga bagay. So, this is for the improvement of the material. So, ano ulit yung mga different types of errors na nabanggit kanina? So, we have the concept errors, factual information are up to date. No? The modules are free from any social content violations. Modules are free from factual errors. The modules are free from computational errors. So what if the module you are checking is English na wala namang computational error? Okay, so ang ilalagay po natin dyan ay not applicable or NA. Okay, modules are free from grammatical errors. Okay, so just for emphasis, no, when we say conceptual errors, kasi medyo nag-start na po tayo sa evaluation, kaya medyo may nakita na po tayong pwedeng banggitin po dito, no. In terms of conceptual errors, are we teaching the right concepts? Okay, parang we will go back to yung MELT, no. Ano ba yung assign sa atin? Are we teaching the right concept? And the next question is, are we teaching the concept right? Okay? There are strategies that will help us teach the concepts right. So it's not enough that we know the topics. Importante din po na malaman natin kung paano ito ituro through our modules. Okay. Factual errors are we saying the right things? Okay. Are we not just incorporating personal views or opinions? Are our contentions based on facts? Okay, what are our evidences then or reliable sources? So this is especially so for science and math. Let us always remember that module will not be solely by our students, but this will be used also by our parents, or by the parents, or kung sino na yung learning facilitators ng mga bata sa bahay. So, kailangan we have to be very careful of the fact. Baka outdated na yung facts natin, dapat so especially in science and araling panlipunan. Okay, for procedural errors, these are mistakes regarding legal knowledge in certain circumstances. So are we following the right or manual ng topics, especially in subjects with a number of components like MAPE, at least 4 material items must be marked yes to indicate compliance to this factor. Okay, next. Okay, so those are the what the 4 factors in the content evaluation tool. So this one is the recommendation. So after giving our rating dun sa material na in-evaluate po natin, we will be choosing among these, no, pwedeng minor revision. Is the module requiring for minor revision? Does it need major revision? Or is it ready for field validation? When we say minor revision, this material is found compliant to the minimum requirements in all 6 factors. And then revision based on the recommendations included in the summary of content findings form and LR with marginal notes must be implemented. So minor lang po yun. For major revision, it means that this material is non-compliant to the requirements in one or more factors. So revision based on the recommendations included in the summary of content findings form and LR with marginal notes must be implemented. Now, kung okay na okay naman po, then the material is ready for field validation. So, pipili ka po dito ng i-check mo as the evaluator. And then, ito yung sinasabi ni Dr. Kasipit kanina na certification. Okay? I certify that this evaluation report and the recommendations in the summary report are my own and have been made without any undue influence from others. So this will be duly signed. Okay, so that's all for the content evaluation. Let's now move on to the guide for the language review. Okay, so as important as the content is of course the language, no, the language use and the language used. Okay, so evaluate the assigned modules one at a time. Carefully read the module page by page again to identify language errors using the following guidelines. Make a marginal notes. Sinabi po kanina, no, na we have to make it sure na clear po ang ating marginal notes. Wala na po yung mga words, straight to the point. Ano ba yung gusto mong pabago? Ano ba yung gusto mong ipa-revise doon sa writer? Huwag mo nang sabihin na there is an error in grammar. Ganun, no? You say it directly. Ano yung gusto mong ipagawa? Okay, so for the language review, we have to take note of the following: coherence and clarity of thought, grammar and syntax, spelling and punctuation, consistency and style, and okay, that's it. No? Ilan yun? 4. So for coherence and clarity of thought, we have the following questions. Let's just read through the questions. Do the statements or phrases in the module make sense? Do the sentences in the paragraph contribute to one idea? Are the thoughts or ideas logically sequenced? Are the conjunctions and transitional phrases used to link sentences or paragraphs? Is the choice of words or expressions appropriate? Are the sentences too long or complex? Is the language appropriate for the target readers? Okay, so these are the questions which, when we answer affirmatively, then we are complying with the criterion. Okay. The next one is grammar and syntax. Okay. So for the language evaluators, hindi lang po ito for English, but also for Filipino and for mother tongue also. Okay. Uh, let's read this. Agreement between subject and verb. That will be a very big deal po yan, especially in English. Just -1s or plus s ay napakalaking ano na yan, napakalaking concern or issue na po. Okay? Correct use of verb tenses, misplaced or dangling modifiers, unclear antecedents, and agreement between pronouns and their antecedent, faulty parallel construction, split infinitives, and so on. Okay, so we have to be consistent with our verb tense, especially when we are narrating story. For example, sometimes doon po tayo nagkakamali sa tense. At one time, nasa past tense tayo, and then pagkatapos in some parts of the story or paragraph na kailangan ng past tense, hindi na po tayo naka-past tense. Okay? So we have to be cautious of that. Let us avoid kilometric sentences. No? This way, we will be lessening or alleviating our errors for yung dangling modifiers or unclear antecedents. So let's just stick if we can explain what we would like to explain in a shorter way, iwasan po natin yung masyadong mahabang mga sentences. Okay, for parallel construction, what is parallelism? For example, the child loves to play, to watch movies, and visiting places. Palagay nyo ba parallel yon? Does it parallel construction? The answer is no. Okay? How are we going to make it parallel? The child loves to play, to watch movies, and to visit places. Okay? So that happens within the sentence at pwede ring mangyari within a paragraph. Parallel ba yung construction within the paragraph? Okay? So those things, no, kailangan makita din ng evaluator yon. Okay, what about the overuse of certain words? Yan. So anong kailangan natin dito? We have to broaden our vocabulary, no, para we will be able to use different words, hindi pa ulit-ulit na na mga salita na pwede namang gumamit ng iba. But of course, we also have to bear in mind na hindi ito, our module is not, we don't intend to use highfalutin words or mga cliches just to impress. Our modules is for instruction and for learning, kaya kailangan ay naiintindihan ng mga bata. Pero ang sinasabi rito ay kung meron kang pwedeng gamitin na ibang words, then make use of other words. This way, you are also helping the child develop his vocabulary or improve his vocabulary. Okay, redundancies, you avoid redundancies. Ano yung redundancies? Paulit-ulit. Okay, example in English, I can't hardly. Is it redundant? Of course. You say, I can hardly. Okay? Yung question, like for example, does the girl plays? Is that correct? Of course, that's wrong, no? It should be, does the girl play, blah, blah. Okay, so simple lang po yung mga example na yon, pero medyo may nakikita pa rin po kaming konting ganon in the modules that we have so far checked. Okay? Another one is spelling and punctuation. So are the words, whether local or foreign, correctly spelled? Are the right punctuations in the right places? Is the use of the serial comma, that means comma before and or observed? Okay, so we have to check and double check our spelling. Kapag hindi po tayo sure, we can consult the dictionary. Okay? Especially yung mga foreign words. Okay, the use of comma, we're not limited to one rule here, no? Baka sometimes, ang alam nating yun lang ay marami pa pala. So we're not limited to one rule but a number of rules, no? Just for the use of comma. Maraming rule po yan. Okay? Another is consistency in style, where alternative spellings are permitted was a choice made and used consistently throughout the material. Is the need for the same tense or person observed? Are the rules on capitalization, hyphenation, setting off in italics or boldface followed? Okay, so use of terminologies. Lagi po kaming nag-uusap dito sa aming office terminologies. Kailangan consistent po tayo. Okay, like for the terminologies we use for the different parts of the module, okay, we always compare, no? Ngayon, dun sa inyong module naman, what about your use of terminologies, especially within a quarter or even in a particular learning area? Consistent po ba kayo? Okay, like for example, dito naman sa mother tongue, the use of ya and a. In most of the modules that I have so far checked, ito lang yung mga hindi pa alam ng mga writers natin, the use of ya and a. Of course, this is for kinder up to grade 3. Ano ba yung ginagamit yung ya at a? Example, BE, ya, magana. Okay. Ya ang gagamitin doon kasi yung BE nagtatapos sa vowel. Okay? Kung nagtatapos sa vowel yung word before ya or the word after ya, it has to be ya. So, BE, ya, magana. Kailan naman pwedeng gamitin ng a? Kung consonant parehas. Like for example, bakus, I'm sorry for my example, bakus amakalab. Bakus amakalab. So it's not bakus ya makalab kung hindi bakus a makalab. Kasi yung bakus nagtatapos sa consonant at nag-uumpisa sa consonant yung makalab. Pero kung yung bakus ay naging baka ya masiba, for example. Okay, ganun lang po yun. No? So, yung use of ya and a, kailangan ang writer natin at ang evaluator natin ng mother tongue ay mayroong alam sa orthografiya. So, all our learning area supervisors should know our Pangasinan orthography. Okay, also the use of umlaut. Ano yung umlaut? Yung letter E ng Pangasinan ay mayroong dalawang mata sa taas. That's what you call umlaut or diaresis. Bakit natin nilalagyan ng mata? Kaya kung walang mata yung sa module, nilalagyan po namin ng mata. Why? because this will distinguish the letter E ng Pangasinan na pronounced as E and E. Because in Pangasinan, there are letter E which is pronounced as E, and there are a lot of words with letter E na pinopronounce na E. So to distinguish between the two sounds, kailangan may umlaut yung sound na letter ng sound ng E. Okay? So that's just about it. Kung may questions po kayo, just write in the chat box. Okay, so write your comments and findings on the margins of the module while examining them. Highlight the portion that needs to be improved, revised, or where the error is found. Specify comments, findings, and recommendations beside the highlighted portion to guide the development team in revising the module. Just like what happens in content review. Okay, reread your written marginal notes and validate or confirm your comments and findings. Make changes if needed, and to make your review as consistent and thorough as possible. Okay, so just the same, in the language review, we have to have our summary of findings template. At lahat dapat ng suggestions natin for revision ay matatagpuan din po in the summary of findings template. So, after individual evaluation of each module, immediately submit with marginal comments and duly accomplished summary report on a staggered basis until all assigned modules have been evaluated. Just like what we are doing in the division, pagkatapos ng isa, ipapasa na kaagad dun sa content and sa language reviewer para makaandar po. So, yung in-explain ni Dr. Kasipit ay mahaba po ang proseso. Okay, so yun lang po pala. So that's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sir Dexter. Muli, isang mapagpalang umaga sa ating lahat. So, natutuwa po ako na napili para ibahagi sa inyo ang isang sample module sa edukasyon sa pagpapakatao. Sa unang baitang, na ginawa po ito ni Ma'am Teresa Bulataw, isang master teacher. Ito po ay na-quality assure na rin, na-evaluate ko na rin, at gustong-gusto ko pong i-share sa inyo kung ano yung mga napag-usapan o yung tinalakay ng ating mga unang tagapagsalita. Okay? So, upang lalo nating maintindihan yung kanilang mga sinabi sa paggawa ng module, narito po ang ginawa po ni Ma'am Teresa. Okay po, so ang gaya po ng nasabi, ang elementary or kinder hanggang elementary, ang ating code o color code ay green. Nakasulat din po dyan yung number 1 o yung grado o baitang ng ating magagamit ng module. So, edukasyon sa pagpapakatao, quarter 1, module 1. Ang pamagat po ay kabat ko'y dilin laman ko. Ang kinder at ang hanggang grade 3 po tinuturo po ang edukasyon sa pagpapakatao sa Pangasinan o yung mother tongue. Ito po yung kakalabasan po ng ating module. Yan po yung ginagawa ng ating layout artist. Gaya po ng sinabi po ni Ma'am Edith, pare-parehas po yung template natin. Ang pagkakaiba lang po ay yung pangalan ng subject dahil po yung kulay ng subject na nakasulat ay nakabase po doon sa color code ng mga iba't ibang asignatura. Gaya po sa ESP, ito ay color brown. Sinabi po Okay, ito po yung unang bahagi ng ating module, yung preliminaries o yung nasa unahan ng sa unang page ng ating module. Nandyan po yung bumubuo sa pagsusulat ng module. Nandyan po yung ating manunulat, editor, taga-suri, taga-guhit, layout artist, at taga-pamahala. Nakikita rin po natin yung paunang salita. Ito ay para sa paunang salita para sa tagapagdaloy. At meron din pong paunang salita para sa mag-aaral na gagawa ng module o gagamit ng module. Ang ating tagapagdaloy ay maaari pong kanilang magulang o ang mga nakakatandang kapatid na kasama nila sa bahay. Dahil ito ay grade 1, kailangan talaga ng patnubay ng kanilang magulang o yung kanilang nakakatandang kapatid. Nakita po natin lahat ito dahil tayo ay gumawa na po ng module. Nandyan na po yung ating mga different icons sa module na ito at ito ay ating contextualize. Kung makikita natin yung icon ay mukha o larawan ng isang mangga at yung lapis dyan ay kawayan. Dahil nga ang San Carlos ay very well known sa bamboo and mango. Okay? So, meron tayo, ito po yung tinalakay ni Ma'am Edith kanina na bahagi ng ating module. Una ay alamin, subukin, balikan, tuklasin, suriin, pagyamanin, isaisip, isagawa, tayahin, karagdagang gawain, susi ng pagwawasto, at ang sanggunian. Okay. Nandiyan na rin po yung mga paalala sa paggamit ng module. Okay. So, umpisahan na po natin sa unang bahagi ng module. Yung unang part na natalakay natin ay alamin. Sa Pangasinan po ay sa tawag tayo sama na part amtaan. Okay. Sa bahaging ito, malalaman ng bata ang mga dapat matututunan niya sa module na ito. So, kung makikita natin ito, may konting background o yung konting talakay kung ano ba yung mangyayari o ano yung gagawin ng bata. Nakasulat po dyan, balang sinansako yawgaw at wala sugabagabay tan sarasarag tunggawon and so on. So, meron siyang introduction muna. Okay? Tapos, sa second paragraph na, nandun na po yung yun na yung objective o yung galing po sa MELC na competency, yung most essential learning competency. Nakasali na rin po ito sa Pangasinan, pero nilagyan ko pa rin po ng Tagalog, yung Filipino, kasi ito po yung nakita natin sa MELC. Kinontextualize na po natin. Kaya, ang nakasulat po dyan, nakabat, sudilin, gabay, interes, potensyal, kakapuyan, tanliknaan. Okay? So, wag pong kakalimutan isulat yung code ng MELC. Okay? Kaya ayan po, nakasulat po dyan. Sumunod na part ay yung sa subukin o yung salian. Okay? Ito yung sinasabi natin na pre-test. Okay? Ang pagsusulit na ito, makikita natin kung ano ang kaalaman sa aralin ng module. Ano ba yung malalaman nila sa module? Pre-test. Okay? Meron po dito sa salian na part o yung ating subukin, meron pong dalawang activities po dyan. Okay? Meron din pong direction o yung tinatawag natin sa Pangasinan na panuntunan. Or in other term, pero maaari din po yung panumbukan. Okay? So, kung makikita din po natin, naka-align po ito sa 16 na font size dahil sila po ay nasa grade 1. Okay? Medyo nilagyan natin ng bold letters yung mga importanteng word, like halimbawa yung duga, tan-aliwa. Tapyan, para ma-emphasize o bigyan diin kung ano yung isusulat ng mga bata dito sa gawain na ito. Okay? Sa unang activity, meron po itong 5 gawain. Kung grade 1 ang ating learner, huwag po tayong magbibigay ng napakaraming items sa isang direction kasi magsasawa po sila. Ito po yung sinasabi ni Ma'am Beth na dapat sensitive tayo sa learner natin kung ano yung dapat na yung kaya lang po ng mga bata. Okay? So next, we have another activity, yung another na panuntunan, sulat-suletra na dugan ubat at gulis. So kung makikita natin, very simple lang yung mga gawain nila. Check, wrong, letra lang, ganon. Kasi ito yung mga bata natin na kaumpisa pa lang. O ito yung unang linggo kasi ng pag-aaral nila sa grade 1. Ito yung umpisa ng klase nila. Okay, so wag muna tayong magbigay ng napakaraming direction o kaya mahihirap na gagawin ng ating mga mag-aaral sa unang baitang. Okay, so limang item din po yan. Ito po yung nasa subukin, okay? O yung pretest. Okay. Pagkatapos ng pretest, meron tayong balikan o sa Pangasinan, pawilan. Okay. I-review tayo ra. Okay. So, makikita natin dyan, ang sabi dyan, amin tayo at walay kakasilan. Okay? So, meron mga binigay dyan na mga activities, mga larawan na kilalang-kilala po ng ating mga bata. If ever na hindi po nila kilala ang mga tao dyan, ay tutulungan po ng kanilang magulang o ng mga kuya at ate nila. Alangan namang hindi nila kilala si Manny Pacquiao. Pag grade 1, ano kaya? Kilalang-kilala nila si Manny, ano? Si Catherine Bernardo. Ito siguro si James Yap. Ang medyo hindi nila masyadong kilala, pero dun sa larawan na nandito sa module, alam na nila kung ano yung sila na ayan to. Okay. Another is Sarah Geronimo. Another is si Eduardo Benavista. Okay. Pipili lang ang mga bata dito sa kahon. Okay. Meron pa rin po sa balikan o yung pawilan, lalagyan lang nila ng check. Okay? Ito yung self-assessment nila. Ano yung interest nilang gawin o yung saragdan gawin. So, kung makikita natin ang grade 1, halos lahat pictures, may mga malalaki yung font size, madali lang yung paglagay nila ng sagot, check, wrong, ano lang, saka mga letters lang. Okay? So, pumunta na tayo sa aralan. Ito yung tinatawag nating tuklasin. Sa bahaging ito, ipapakilala sa bata ang maraming paraan tulad ng isang kwento, awit, tula, o pambukas na suliraning gawain o isang sitwasyon. Okay? So dito sa aralan, magbibigay po, ang ginawa ni Ma'am Tere ay isang kwento. Nagbigay po siya dyan ng kwento, mayroon pong babasahin. Alam po natin na ang grade 1 ay hindi pa marunong magbasa, kaya nakasulat din po dyan na nayarin magpaiba ed atem o dinusay matakkel niya kaiba ed abong ya marunong ya manbasa. Okay. So, basa ang tuman, so tuo ya kaiba to, Ayay Istorya. Okay. Itong story ni Aya at si Boboy ay mula sa libro ng Edukasyon sa Pagpapakatauhan, Kagamitan ng Mag-aaral. Doon na rin po kinuha doon sa libro nila. Okay. Pagkatapos ng pagbabasa, ay meron tayong mga katanungan na inilagay po sa parte ng suriin or suriin. Sa parteng suriin, may mga katanungan ditong naihanda tungkol doon sa kwento. Kung makikita natin yung mga katanungan dito ay pwede rin nating i-develop ang bata dito sa competency o yung kasanayan nila na i-develop natin sa Filipino, yung pagkuha ng pangunahing idea or mga pangunahing tauhan sa kwento. Okay? Sa mga katanungan nito, dito na ipoproseso ang mga kasanayan na ating dapat talakayin. Okay? Sa mga sa mga katanungan dito, hindi lang po siya puro who, what, where, or ano, sino, or yung mga tanong ba na napakababaw. Okay? Meron din po ditong tanong na para yung sinasabi natin higher order thinking question o yung questions, yung HOTS questions. Okay? Na kung saan doon natin na-develop yung ating kasanayan sa ating alamin doon sa amtaan. Okay? Gaya nito, antong matilay gabagabay mong gawaan. I-drawing niya, loob, yakahon. Okay? Tapos nun, merong konting pong discussion. Meron pong konting talakayan tungkol sa kasanayang iyong tinatalakay. Pagkatapos nun, ang sumunod na parte ng module ay pagyamanin o ang tinatawag nating payamanan. Ito ay bahagi ng module upang mapagtibay ang kanyang pag-unawa at mga kasanayan sa paksa. So, nagbigay po siya dito ng 4 na gawain upang lalo nilang mapalalim, napabulaslas, so aray inaralda. Okay. So, una, ito, yung panuntunan, sulat papel, so letra na litraton, mang nipapaningning, nagagabagabay mo, gawaan, interes, tan potensyal. So, letra lang, ano. Pangalawa naman, aray kakapuyan mo. Kakapuyan. Yung una, yung kaya niya. Yung pangalawa, ay yung kahinaan niya. Kasi yun po yung nakalagay po doon sa milk na kanyang tinatalakay. Hindi lang tayo nagpo-focus sa kakasilan, kung hindi, pati sa kanyang kahinaan. Ang ating milk ay nakabat, sudilin, gabay, interes, potensyal, kakapuyan, tan, linaan. So, sa pagyamanin, nandun na po yung kailangan niyang talakayin na nakabatay lahat sa milk o doon sa kanyang inaasahan na gagawin o matamo. Okay. Andyan din po yung yung anong liknaan o yung yung kanyang saloobin. At yung pang-apat na gawain ay yung undangal at sitwasyon, abasa na ating mo, sulat at papel, so check, so saray at makatulong at tapyan, mas lalong niya maong, antan, tan ekes no ande. So, ibig sabihin, ito yung parang application na rin. Okay? Kung paano niya payamanin yung kanyang kaya at saka yung kanyang kahinaan. Okay? So, doon sa part na pagyamanin, nakita natin na gawain na talagang nade-develop yung ating dapat matamo ng bata. Ngayon naman ay sa parte ng nunutin o ang sinasabi nating isa-isip. Okay, isa-isip. Dito sa parteng isa-isip o nunutin, ito yung mga terms o yung mga agdalilingwanan o yung sinasabi natin dapat nilang tandaan. Okay? So parang generalization na. No? Dito natin sasabihin yung mga dapat nilang tandaan na tungkol doon sa lesson natin. Kaya kung makikita natin dyan, meron po dyang aglilingwanan. Nandyan yung teacher na pinapaalala sa bata ang mga dapat niyang tandaan sa lesson na kanyang tinatalakay o doon sa module na ginagawa niya. Okay? So, pagkatapos po ng generalization, ay meron po tayong gawain o kaya yung sinasabi nating gawain. Okay. Dito sa gawain na ito, ang mga activities na ilalagay natin o nilagay dito ay mga sitwasyon na gagawin nila sa realidad na buhay. Okay? Mga kasanayan sa tunay na sitwasyon o realidad na buhay. Application, sabi natin, application, gawain, isa gawa or gamitin nila sa pamilya. Ang ginawa Ma'am Tere dito ay meron siyang album, okay? Magpapagawa siya ng album. Nakasulat po dyan, sa kay agaw, gabay ko, sa interes, agabay ko, nagamuran. Okay. So, meron siyang panuntunan dito. Panuntunan. Mampaiba at ateng, o anggan siya pa, ya makatulong at sika, piyan makagawa na album, mahipapaningneng na panagawam na sara interes, o gabay mon gawan, tanno panon irayan pabulaslasen. Okay. So, siya na ngayon. Ano niya na pagyayamanin o yung i-correct yung kanyang kaya palakasin ang kanyang potential o yung bigyan pansin at maging malakas siya doon sa kanyang kahinaan. Okay, so gagawa siya ng album kasama ang kanyang magulang o kung sino man ang pwedeng tumulong sa kanya. Okay. So yan po yung nasa gawaan or isagawa. Okay. Pagkatapos po niyang application o yung gawaan o isagawa, ang sumunod ay ang sukatenso inaral. Okay. Ito na yung sinasabi natin na parte tayahin. Kaya yung parang post-test. Okay. Pagkatapos ng lesson, ano yung kanyang napag-aralan. Okay. So dito sa sukatenso inaral, merong binigay si Ma'am Tere dito na dalawang direction. Okay. Na meron pong tigfa 5 items. Okay. Ayan po. So, nilalaman ng mga activities na ito, yung mga dapat tayahin sa lesson mula sa umpisa ng module hanggang sa huli, yung doon sa gawain o gagawaan. Andyan po yung kanyang panuntunan at saka yung mga activities. Pag grade 1 po, ang ideal po ay kung multiple choice po tayo, at least 3 lang po, A, B, and C. Huwag na po tayong magbigay ng maraming pagpipilian dahil baka hindi po kaya ng ating mga mag-aaral sa unang baitang. Po. Tapos, yung sumunod ay ang aromniran gagawaan o yung sinasabi nating karagdagang gawain. Sa bahaging ito, bibigay ito sa bata upang pagyamanin ang kanyang kalaman o kasanayan sa natutunang aralin. In case na hindi o yung hindi pa niya masyadong nagkuha yung pagtataya, meron pa siyang gagawin. Pwede rin pong itong ilalagay natin dito sa araw nilang gagawin. Maaari din po niya itong enrichment activity. Okay. So, araw nilang gagawaan. So, nakita natin, puro pictures po yung nakalagay dyan na activities. Lahat po ng mga pictures dito na nilagay ni Ma'am Tere ay galing po sa LR portal at sa Creative Commons na nandun po sa kanyang sanggunian yung link na pinagkuhanan niya. Ito po yung isang magandang aram-niran gagawaan. Manggawa ng tikay adasal, apikakasi a Diyos, tungkol at talento, ya inter daot sika, tan mampormisa ka, no panon mon pabulaslasin iya. Okay. Meron din po siyang comic strip dyan na inilagay para doon sa aram-niran gagawaan. In case po na ang bata ay hindi niya masyadong makuha yung ating mga activities, ito yung sinasabi ni Ma'am Edith na meron po tayong karagdagang activities na ibibigay sa kanila. Depende po sa learner po natin. Alam po natin na hindi po pare-parehas yung learners natin. Merong slow, merong fast, and so on. So, ito po ay mga activities na intended sa kanila in case na hindi po kaya ng bata natin kasi kilala naman po natin ang ating mga mag-aaral. Magbibigay po tayo ng other activities para sa kanila kung saan makakahabol din po sila sa lesson. Okay po. Okay. Bilang pangwakas, sabi niya, Natan, sarag mula, hangang puso, ya ipakabat sa sarilim. Tumbukon so, giya alagsab, jet pan pabakat na sarilim. Ito. Okay? So, meron na dyan, syaksi lang, o gabay kong gawaan at on. At sa pinakahuli po, yung pangalawa sa huli pala ay yung o yung sinatawag nating susi ng pagwawasto. Dito nakalagay yung tamang sagot sa lahat ng gawain sa module. Okay? So, kung makikita natin, yan po yung bawat part, bawat bahagi ng module kung saan may nakalagay na sagot sa mga activities o sa mga gawain. Kung sakaling mang na wala pong kasi di ba magtatanong tayo, aksubian, subat na ugaw. So whatever na, kung ano yung sagot ng bata, dahil mayroon din pong gawain doon, i-accept na lang ng teacher kung ano yung nasa kanya. Kasi siya po ang nakakalam na kanyang interest o kanyang potential o kahinaan. Kaya bilang guro, aksubiin natin yung kanyang mga sagot. Okay? So, bawat part po ng module na may gawain po, nandyan po yung sagot ay nasa susi ng pagwawasto o ang tinatawag natin saray duganabad. At ang pinakalas natin ay yung sanggunian. Okay? Napapaloob dito yung pinagkuhanan nating aklat o yung link kung saan natin kinuha yung mga pictures o may kwento na safe po tayo, na walang copyright issues. Kaya medyo mahaba-haba po, isulat po natin yung link para ma-knowledge po. So, yan po ang sa unang maraming salamat po. Thank you.
Hello, good noon po sa lahat.
Ayan. So, ma'am, take it away.
Magandang tanghali po sa lahat. Alam ko po na tayo ay nagmamadali na, kaya po, eto na po sa lahat po ng mga writers, ito po ang aking pinaghirapan ng ilang buwan. Sana po ay meron po kayong makuha na mga magagamit nyo po sa pag-develop po ng sarili nyo pong module. So, let's start. So, ito po yung front page po ng ating tayo sa front matter, makikita po ninyo na ito po ay merong illustration ng mango and bamboo. And makikita po natin yan throughout the module, yung ating pong icon na bamboo at saka mango. Yung mango po yung caricature at yung bamboo po yung kanyang pet. So, aside from that, meron din tayong copyright at meron din tayong title page. So, ako po yung writer sa Quarter 1, Module 1, Week 1 to 3. Bakit po Week 1 to 3? Yung module po natin ay depende po sa MELCs. So, kanina meron po sinabi sa discussion ni Dr. Pedas na meron pong specified number of pages. Pero may, ano po doon, exceptions po doon. Depende po yun sa number of MELCs. So, in my case, I was given the first topic na sa ating pong MELCs ay week 1 to 3. So, the title is Volcanoes, Earthquakes, and Mountain Ranges. So, yung pong sa may start, so in-explain po yung sa introductory message yung paggamit. Now, napansin ko po dun sa binigay na template at inedit ko na po yon to suit our need as San Carlos City writers. So, dito for the learner, I'm encouraging others to edit this part. Kasi po, dun sa makikita po natin, kinopy ko po yun sa template. Pero I have here a suggestion. I said here, welcome to the Science 10 module on volcanoes, earthquakes, mountain ranges. Mango is the Philippine national fruit. It is also a one-town, one product of the city of San Carlos alongside the pliant bamboo. Our mango is world-renowned for being succulent and irresistibly sweet. It is hoped that you, as a learner and a resident of San Carlos City, Pangasinan, are capable and empowered to successfully achieve the relevant competencies and skills at your own pace and time. Hence, the mango in this learning resource signifies that your academic success will be fruitful and sweet. Okay, so yun po yung binago ko doon. And then, let's now go to the what I need to know. So, dito po, ilalagay po natin yung ating specific purpose as a writer, wherein we will enumerate all the objectives. At saan po kinuha itong objectives? From the MELCs also. And moving on, yung susunod po yung what I know. This is our pre-test. In junior high, dapat po 15 items po ang ating pre-test. Okay? At let us make sure that our pre-tests are items that are really discussed in our module. Hindi lang po tayo magpipick ng mga items from our existing LMs. And then, for our lesson, we have the what's in. Ano po ito? This is our review. Maidagdag ko lang po as a tip. In writing our modules, it is like writing our detailed lesson plan and thinking that while we're doing it, we are conversing face-to-face with our learners. So, ilalagay natin yung puso natin dyan habang sinusulat natin at yung mga salita natin ay parang kausap natin yung mga bata. Okay, so what's in? This is a review. If we're going through the MELCs, you can see that this topic was already discussed in grade 6, grade 8, and grade 9, specifically on volcanoes and earthquakes. Okay, so kukuha tayo dun ng mga specific vocabulary words para ma-review. And then in the end part, sabi ko doon, how many words do you remember? You may refer back to these pages when you want to recall the definition of the listed terms. So, double purpose po ito. This is not just your recall or review, but also this could be your vocabulary words. So, meron lang konting explanation. Bakit? Para po magkaroon ng continuity. Unlike sa activity sheets na activity, wala na pong explanation. Sa module po, meron. So, because our modules are for mass production, we made sure that most of the figures and the maps are black and white. Okay? So, ito po. Itong nakikita po ninyo dito, the figure 1 and the rest of the maps and the figures here are done by our division illustrators. Okay? At yan po ay base naman sa mga nakikita natin sa mga internet sources at saka sa mga books din. Then, pupunta po tayo sa what's new. This is the introduction of the topic itself. So, dito, yung first na activity ko, remember where the edges meet? Ang ginawa ko po dito ay, ang point of view ko po ay from general, from worldview to specific Philippines. So, we will start with the world. So, nakikita natin dyan, yung activity ay meron po siyang cutting part. Siyempre, hindi naman pwede ang bata magpa-Xerox, lalo na ngayon, pandemic. So, ang ginawa po namin solution, we have a duplicate page. One will be used for the cutting purpose, while the other will be used for reference later on. And as you can see, very detailed po yung description dito ng steps. Bukod po dun sa mayroong note, read the description, cut these maps. Meron pa pong icon ng scissor. May mga dotted lines pa po. Siguro kahit walang kasama yung bata, maiintindihan niya po yan. Ganun po yung gagawin natin. And of course, because we're talking about world, we need to include a world map. And we cannot ask our students to provide their own map. So, ang ating illustrators din po ay gumawa din po ng world map. Okay, what is it? Ito na po siya. Ito na po yung explanation po ng gawa. Very short view I from the general, which is the word, going to a more specific one, which is the Philippines. So I started with recircling the ring, recircle the ring, which is about the Pacific Ring of Fire. Okay? So, andyan po. And after each activity, meron pong kasunod siyang assessment. So, tigli-5 lamang po ang aking items. And these are all objectives. Why? Because we would like to make sure na hindi po mabobore yung bata at engage pa rin siya. Kasi kung yan po ay sobrang hirap na, remember, the activity in itself is already foreign to them, tapos bibigyan mo pa sila ng mahirap na assessment type, so hindi na po nila yun gagawin. Next would be the activity 2, rethink the risk. Okay, so yung una, recircle the, ano po yun? Recircle the ring. Okay, followed by rethink the risk. So may recall, RR. So dito po, rethink the risk. Bakit po? Kasi dito po ay papasok na yung risk within our territory. We all know that our country is often plagued with natural disasters. So dito, mas magiging aware ang mga bata na, oh, our country is really beautiful, but we are having natural disasters throughout the year. And ano, this is natural. Okay, so I have provided here the map of the Philippines to make them familiar with all the regions in the Philippines. And then, meron po tayong mga hazard maps. So, the first would be on the earthquakes. Okay, so makikita po natin dyan na meron pong legend. The darker the color is, mean to say, mas higher po yung risk. Okay, followed by the earthquake risk that can cause landslides. And then the third would be volcanic eruption risks. And the last one is to tsunamis. Okay, doon na sa questions. Lahat po yung mga provide po natin na illustrations and figures, dapat po mapakinabangan po natin yun or ma-maximize. So lahat po yun dapat may kaakibat na katanungan po sa ating mga activities. And of course, there must be a connecting statement. So I said here before I move on to my assessment number 2, how did you find the hazard maps in the previous activity? Did you see your province as one of the epicenters? Tatanungin natin yan, parang ma-own ng bata yung experience. When was the last time you experienced an earthquake? How was your experience? It's now time to test your knowledge, so answer assessment 2. Hindi naman niya kailangan sagutin yung mga questions doon. Kumbaga, we're just tickling their imagination. So let's go to assessment 2. Kagaya ng dati, 5 items lamang po. And then, ako makikita niyo yung mga choices, it's all about the Philippines. Then after the knowing the location of the natural disasters in our country, we will now go on to the activity 3. Kung kanina, world, tapos Philippines. This time, ito po ay sarili na niya mismo. What will happen or what would a student do kung sa kanya mismo nangyari? So, ano ang gagawin ng bata? Disaster preparedness. So, dito papasok po yung dapat malaman nila yung harmful effects, what to do before, during, and after a natural disaster. So, meron pa dun isa, hanging question, pero kahit ano pwede niyang isagot dito para lang ma-feel nung bata na talagang experience ko to. During natural disasters, I should lang. And then, assessment number 3, ganun pa din po yun. It's more of a situational naman siya. Kung babasahin po natin isa-isa. Okay? And then, ini-highlight ko po yung mga words that could mislead the reader as they answer the assessment. And then, after that, we will summarize the learning. So, ito na po yung what I have learned. Since ito pong ating module ay for distance learning, for self-learning, kailangan po hindi natin sila pahirapan. So dito, I have provided the choices. Dalawa na lang, nilimitahan ko na. And then, what I can do, this is our performance. So dito, make believe. Alam naman natin, ang mga kabataan ngayon ay mahilig sa social media. But I did not mention here a specific name of a social media platform. So, nilagay ko lang dyan, social media page. Ang gagawin lang ng bata dito, kokopyahin niya yung graphic organizer. Kunwari, yun yung kanyang cellphone. Then, maglalagay ng hashtag, drawing ng picture, kasi di naman sila pwede lumabas, mention your school, observe the disaster hazards that you have seen within the vicinity, and then suggestion, and then pledge. Okay? At meron din dyan, discussion of possible outcomes. Dito, pag-iisipan nila, tanggap kayo yung sinulat nila. Para dito, inaano natin guidance. Now, in the additional activity, we will make sure that they will be engaged. Kasi additional na nga ito. So, I said, are you in for more challenging activities? If you are fond of traveling and intend to be a local or international tourist in the future, you might want to spare more time doing some additional activities. We all know everyone wants to travel nowadays. Especially tayo ay nasa bahay lamang the whole time. So, eto yung bata, maiisip niya sana nga nakakalabas ako. So, pero dapat sakto pa rin yun dun sa ating topic. So, in my additional activity number 1, it's more fun near Philippine volcanoes. Kinuha ko po yan sa It's More Fun in the Philippines. So, dito, gagamitin ko na naman si Philippine map. Meron ng bagong map, active volcanoes. You might be wondering, ba't di mo na lang ginamit yung hazards kanina? Kasi sa hazard map, wala dun yung active volcanoes. Kasi pag pinagsama-sama natin ang information, there would be an overload. Malilito po sila. Okay. So dito, since kailangan dito ng makita nila at hindi naman pwede basta tayo maglagay na lang basta ng mga pictures that we can download from the internet, nilagay ko lang dyan if available. So, we have here the table, province na mapipili nila, top 5, the active volcano, and the interesting facts. So, dito sa interesting facts, anything goes na dito. Kung ano yung naka-interest sa kanila. Okay? Then, may mga guide questions. Tapos, dito, to make it exist, in which hotel will you choose to stay? Near a volcano or away from volcano? And why? So, yung mga adventurous type, near the volcano. Yung mga takot, away from the volcano. Diba? And then, ibabalik mo sila. Magkakaroon ng connection doon sa precautionary measure. And of course, since this is promoting tourism, which among the many active volcanoes in the Philippines would you suggest to a foreign friend to visit and why? Siyempre, huwag natin kalimutan, kahit ang ganda ng nature, meron pa rin yang danger. So, papasok na dito yung damage and death. Parang natin sila sa katotohanan, ito yung susunod. It's better to be locally and internationally aware. This time, magpapakita naman ako ng mga picture ng mga nangyari sa iba't ibang lugar. So, in this case, I prepared 2 from the Philippines, yung Taal Volcano eruption, and then landslide in Benguet, followed by an earthquake, devastating earthquake in Nepal, and of course, the tsunami. Po yung ilang source. As much as possible, iniiwasan natin yan, pero to be realistic, di po pwedeng drawing lang. So, nandyan po, yung very, lang naman siya, simple, calamity, at kita-kita naman po sa picture kung ano yung effects. And then, so meron naman akong connecting statement. Knowing the bad effects of these unstoppable natural calamities, we must always be prepared for them all the time. The best way to prepare is to create awareness and to set a plan with our family and friends before such calamities strike. So, meron ding involvement po ang family members dito. Hindi lamang po si bata. Kasi bilang mga guro, hindi dapat natatapos na yung bata lang yung natututo. Kailangan yung buong pamilya. If it takes a village to educate a child, sometimes it takes a child to educate the entire family. May mga ganun pong kaso. So, for this additional activity, dalawang pong part ito. It's time to boost our awareness. The first part is to make an evacuation plan. So, yung bata, alam niyo kung mayroong nangyaring sakuna. Ililabel niya po yun. Pati mga emergency kit, important documents, etc. And may standard rubrics muna kayo. Sinunod ba ng bata yung 6 na instruction? Tama ba yung pagkakalabel at yung color specified? Ginawa ba? The grammar and spelling, whether it's English or vernacular. The impact, is it attractive and neat? And then the next one would be awareness campaign. So dito, makikikollaborate sila, parents, kasama lang nila sa bahay. And they have a choice whether to make slogan, poem, song, jingle, or poster. Depende po sa kanilang talent. And then their willingness and time. So, ang kanilang material, English, Filipino, or the mother tongue. Again, I said, avoid foul or vulgar words. Limit your content. And then, if you choose to make a song, make sure you name the artra or record of the jingle and upload it to social media. Kung kaya naman po. Kasi nga, this is awareness, promoting awareness. And we also have standard rubrics. As you can see, sa mga rubrics po na pinakita ko, very simple. So that the students can understand. So dito, target awareness, realistic. Next, alam na natin yung grammar, spelling, pati techniques, and impact. Parang inulit ko lang. So madali nilang mag-gets yan. So, it's a great feeling that you were able to challenge yourself to do these additional activities. I hope that your understanding and appreciation of your role as a natural calamity awareness advocate were enriched. Congratulations and continue this good deed. So bago pa nila ibalik, meron pang karagdagan. At ito po'y kinopya ko kay Valos. At syempre po, yan po ay aking nilagay po dito. So dito, i-rate po nila yung kanilang sarili. Nakatulong ba yung module sa kanilang pagkaunawa sa Earth as a planet, sa plate tectonics theory, sa relationship ng volcanoes, epicenters, and mountain ranges, at sa pag-ensure na magiging fair sila sa mga natural calamities. So, for the answer key, it must be written upside down. Yun po yun. And then, also, we must provide the complete list of the references, be it printed or electronically sourced. So, yun lamang po. Sana po ay meron po kayong na-pick up at nakatulong po ako sa inyo. Para po ito sa mga bata at para po sa ating mahal na bayang Pilipinas. Salamat po.
Alright, so thank you very much, ma'am. I believe na may mga participants tayo na magsasabi na ay, ganito pala yung dapat gawin ko. Ay, may mas maganda palang idea para sa module na din-develop ko. Kaya maraming salamat po, ma'am.
marami kayong agam-agam tungkol sa kung ano nga ba ang mangyayari sa pasukan ngayong taon. Iyan po ang dahilan kung bakit ako naririto. Ako nga po pala si Sir Dexter, ang maghahatid sa inyo ng ilang impormasyong dapat nating malaman bilang paghahanda sa darating na pasukan. Bago ang lahat, ang video ito ay hatid sa atin ng Department of Education, Region 1. At narito na ang ilang bagay na dapat nating malaman bilang paghahanda sa darating na pasukan. May bayad ba ang mga modules? Ang mga ADM modules o self-learning materials ay libre. Ang mga ito ay sadyang inihanda ng DepEd para sa mga mag-aaral ng walang bayad. Iwasan lamang na marumihan o mapunit ang bawat pahina ng module at kailangang gumamit ng hiwalay na sagutang papel. Paano matatanggap ng mga mag-aaral ang mga modules at activity sheets? Ganito po. Ang mga paaralan ay may school learning continuity plans kung saan nakalatag ang gabay at proseso sa pamamahagi ng mga module o activity sheets na kakailanganin ng inyong anak. Tiyak na ito ay ipapaalam sa inyo bilang magulang o tagapag-alaga ng mag-aaral. Ang mga paaralan ay maaaring magpatulong sa barangay, local government units, non-government organizations, at concerned citizens para sa distribusyon ng mga kagamitang pampagkatuto at sa pagtatalaga ng drop center. Paano po namin masisiguro ang kalidad ng pagtuturo sa ganitong setup? Ang paglikha ng DELCP ng DepEd ay isang patunay na ginagawa ng kagawaran ang mga nararapat na paraan upang hindi masakripisyo ang pagkatuto ng inyong anak sa kabila ng pinagdadaan ng pandemya. Katulong ang mga tanggapang pangrehiyon at pangsangay, gayon din ang mga paaralan. Lumikha ang DepEd ng iba't ibang kagamitang pampagtuturo na tutugon sa pangangailangan ng inyong mga anak. Gaano kahanda ang mga guro at ang paaralan upang masiguro ang pagkatuto at kaligtasan ng aking anak? Sa kabila ng pandemya, ginanap ang Brigada Eskwela kung saan ang focus ng programa ay para sa paghahandang gagawin ng mga paaralan para sa darating na school year gaya ng mga sumusunod. Siguraduhing ligtas ang mga paaralan sa banta ng COVID-19. Maghahanda ang bawat paaralan ng mga kagamitang pamproteksyon gaya ng thermal scanner, hand sanitizing equipment, at mga kagamitang pang-disinfectant, face masks, bitamina para sa mga guro at mag-aaral at iba pa. At magsasagawa ng oryentasyon sa mga magulang kaugnay sa kasalukuyang sitwasyon at kung anong paghahanda ang ginagawa upang matiyak ang edukasyon at kaligtasan ng inyong anak. Kailan ako dapat makipag-ugnayan sa guro o paaralan kaugnay sa pag-aaral ng aking anak? Iminumungkahi po ang madalas na pakikipag-ugnayan sa paaralan at sa mga guro ng inyong anak, maaaring sa pamamagitan ng tawag, text message, messenger, email, o pasabi sa barangay kaugnay sa pagkuha at pagsusumite ng mga module. Palaging itanong sa kanila ang mga pangangailangang pang-akademiko at maging ang pag-unlad ng pagkatuto ng anak at sa pagsasagawa ng mga nakatakdang gawain sa bahay. Bukod sa paggabay sa aking anak sa pagkatuto, ano pa ang maitutulong ko sa kanyang pag-aaral? Kayo po ay hinihikayat na maging mapagmasid sa pag-aaral ng inyong anak upang kaagad na matugunan ang suliranin sa kanyang pagkatuto. Itala lamang ang inyong obserbasyon at mga tanong ng anak kaugnay sa pinag-aaralang module at isang guni o ibahagi sa guro ang mga naobserbahang pagbabago sa pagkatuto ng anak. Maaari bang gamitin ng aking anak ang lahat ng modality sa kanyang pagkatuto? Opo, ang mga iba't ibang modality ay nailatag upang magamit ng mag-aaral kung ano ang pinakaangkop na pagkatuto para sa kanyang sitwasyon. Ang mahalaga, natatamo ng mag-aaral ang kasanayang dapat matutuhan sa isang partikular na aralin. Mabibigyan ba ang aking anak ng pagkakataong tapusin ang mga module na hindi niya natapos? Opo, maaaring mabigyan po ang inyong anak ng pagkakataong tapusin ang module kung may sapat at katanggap-tanggap na dahilan kung bakit hindi niya naipasa sa takdang oras ang gawain. Makipag-ugnayan lamang po kayo kaagad sa guro ng inyong anak at sabihin ang dahilan kung bakit hindi niya naipasa ang pangangailangang gawain. Kung nagkataong walang kuryente sa oras na dapat manood ang aking anak para sa kanyang leksyon, paano niya matututuhan ng aralin? Huwag po kayong mag-alala. May mga nakalimbag na module na maaaring gamitin na hindi nangangailangan ng teknolohiya o kuryente. Maaari ding makakuha ng link o file ng mga angkop na digitized materials sa kanyang guro. Kinakailangan lamang na maiparating sa madaling panahon ang sitwasyon sa kanyang guro upang mabigyan ng ibang paraan ang pagkatuto ng mag-aaral. Maaari ko bang maanyayahan ang kanyang guro sa aming bahay kung may aralin na hindi kayang sagutin? Maaari po. Kung may aralin na hindi kayang sagutin, maaaring isangguni muna sa guro upang makapagbigay siya ng ibang interbensyon at hindi na niya kailangang pumunta sa inyong bahay. Subalit, kung sadyang kailangan at hindi maiiwasan ng home learning sessions ay marapat na gawin ito sa araw na may pasok or school days at kailangang sumunod ang bawat panig sa protocol na itinakda ng DOH at IATF. Paano kung wala akong sapat na kasanayan upang tulungan ang aking anak sa kanyang pag-aaral? Huwag pong mabahala. Isangguni o ipaalam sa guro upang mas mapaigting ang pagsubaybay ng guro sa inyong anak. Maaaring magpatulong sa iba pang miyembro ng pamilya, kamag-anak, kapitbahay, malapit na kaibigan ng pamilya o kabarangay. Anong tulong o gabay ang maaaring ilapit o isangguni sa mga opisyal ng barangay kaugnay sa pag-aaral ng aking anak? Maaari pong lapitan ang barangay health workers, barangay poso, barangay kagawad na nakatalaga sa edukasyon, at community facilitators upang kuha ng mga module. Ang anumang usaping pangkalusugan ng mag-aaral ay maaari ring isangguni sa mga barangay health center. Makakatulong din ang pagkakaroon ng hotlines para sa mas mabilis at organisadong pagbibigay ng mga module. Narito naman po ang mga impormasyon tungkol sa kindergarten. Ano ang gagamitin ng aking anak na nasa kindergarten? May nakahandang kindergarten activity sheets mula sa BASA Pilipinas at mga nakalimbag o printed at naka-digital na forma ng self-learning module na ginawa para sa kindergarten upang gamitin. May mga aralin din na naka-video at naka-audio at mga interaktibong gawain gaya ng awitin, rima, tula at play-based na gawain. Mayroon pang karagdagang activity sheets na inihanda kaugnay sa programang Aral sa Bahay ang Rehiyon. Paano ako makakatulong sa pagtuturo ng aking anak na nasa kindergarten? Ito po ay sa pamamagitan ng mga sumusunod. Sa bawat module ay may mga paraan kung paano ituturo ang aralin. Magkakaroon din kayo ng webinar upang magabayan ang inyong anak sa pagkatuto. Lilikha din ang guro ng chat group upang ipaabot at maturuan ang mga magulang sa wastong gawain at pamamaraan. Magkakaroon din tayo ng tulong mula sa radyo at telebisyon para sa RTV-based na pagtuturo. Paano naman ang mother tongue? Iba ang mother tongue ng aking anak sa early grade, hindi Ilocano o Pangasinan. May module bang aakma sa kanya? Huwag pong mag-alala dahil opo, kailangan lamang na isangguni o ipaalam kaagad sa paaralang papasukan ng inyong anak upang mabigyan ng agarang solusyon ang bagay na ito. Paano naman sa SPED or Special Education? Ano ang gagamitin ng mga mag-aaral na may kapansanan? May mga kagamitan tulad ng self-learning modules, TV clips, videos, online materials, braille, at mga pamamaraan sa pagsasanay ng kumpas o sign language na pwedeng gamitin na angkop sa kanilang mga kapansanan o pangangailangan. Paano namin maaalagaan ang mental health at well-being ng aming mga anak sa ganitong panahon? Maaari pong gawin ang mga sumusunod. Ang pagtatakda ng mga gawaing nakatutulong upang maiwasan ang pagbababad sa computer. Maaari din ang pagbibigay ng iba't ibang gawain at pagtatakda ng pagsasagawa. Magkaroon lamang po tayo ng malawak na pangunawa at pagpapakita ng kalinga at pagmamahal. Pakikisali din sa iba't ibang webinar kaugnay rito ay maaaring makatulong. At syempre, wastong paggabay at pagiging huwarang magulang at guro. Narito naman ang mga impormasyon para sa Alternative Learning System or ALS. Paano po maipapamahagi ang ALS modules kung wala pong face-to-face? Sino ang kukuha at saan ito kukunin? Magkakaroon po ng lingguhang anunsyo sa mga CLCs or Community Learning Centers sa barangay at paaralan para sa schedule ng pagkuha o pamamahagi at pagsusumite ng module. Dito rin malalaman ang mga karagdagang gabay o instruksyon kaugnay sa pag-aaral. Mangyaring makipag-ugnayan sa guro o paaralan kaugnay sa usaping ito. Ano po ang unang requirement bago makapag-enroll sa ALS program? Narito po. Ang mag-aaral na nagnanais magpatuloy sa ALS ay kinakailangang dumaan sa Functional Literacy Test upang mataya ng guro kung saang level magsisimula ang guro sa interbensyong ibibigay. Paano isasagawa ang learning intervention sa mga ALS learners? Ganito po. Ang ALS Mobile Teacher ay gagamit ng ilang paraan upang mabigyan ng sapat na gabay ang kanyang mga mag-aaral. Maliban sa mga module na gagamitin, maaaring makipag-ugnayan sa pamamagitan ng cellphone, gaya ng tawag, text, chat, o video call. Kung walang budget, gagawa ng liham ang mag-aaral sa kanyang guro upang iparating ang anumang usapin kaugnay sa kanyang pag-aaral. Ang liham ay maaaring ilagat at kukunin sa mga CLCs or Community Learning Centers. Para sa mga karagdagang impormasyon, mangyaring sumangguni lamang sa DepEd Order No. 12 Series of 2020 at DepEd Order No. 17 Series of 2020. At iyan na po ang mga karagdagang impormasyong dapat nating malaman bilang paghahanda sa darating na pasukan. Muli, ang video ito ay hatid sa atin ng Department of Education, Region 1. Ramdam po namin ang inyong mga pinagdaraanan, ngunit naniniwala kami na sa ating pagtutulungan, maisusulong natin ang edukalidad.